to everybody engaged in any illegal activity along the Ankobra and major rivers is that we are coming after you. And we are not coming on a day visit and leaving. We are going to be here. There is no law in Ghana that allows anybody to mine or discharge water in any of the water bodies. So anybody that is seen engaged in this activity is a fair target, and we are warning you, stop it, because the damage that this is causing our country cannot be paid. If this is not war, then I don't see anything. We need to mobilize all the forces we have. We need to put all the resources we have to deal with this crisis of our time. And it's very, very clear. The president's heart is in the right place when he directed that we need to deploy permanently the military and the security forces along our river bodies and the forest reserve. And that is what we are going to work with the Ministry of Finance and key sectors to deal with this issue.
That's the Minister in charge of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa. The river you saw there is the Ankobra, and he took a tour on it just to have a clear idea of what we're talking about and what we're confronted with when it comes to galamsey. That's not the only river that has been polluted as a result of illegal mining activities. The Ayensu River polluted, and that's what has led to the Kwenyako headworks being shut down, because galamsey doesn't take place in Kwenyako or that part of the central region. But they are feeling the impact of galamsey, and that we found this week. Not just water bodies and forest reserves are under attack as a result of galamsey. The air that we breathe has also been found to be at risk as a result of galamsey. This was a scientific research that was done, which we'll get into. The food that we eat also having high content of mercury beyond the allowable threshold, mercury, lead in there as a result of galamsey. So we are battered on every side as a result of this menace of illegal mining. This week, we had the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the man you just heard there, Emmanuel Ama Kofi Boa, indicate that they are going to declare these galamsey areas security zones. How different will that be from the declaration of the state of emergency, as has been the call on government to do? The previous administration declared these forest reserves and water bodies as red zones. How different is it? Or how different will it be from this one that we're hearing of security zones? So it's a conversation we'll have here on Keypoint on TV3, also live on 3FM 92.7 and on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. This matter of the impact of galamsey is not one that we'll keep taking our eyes off the ball anytime soon. While at it, the nominated Chief Justice, His Lordship Justice Paul Bafo-Boni, is very much aware of the impact of this. He's spoken quite a number of times on the impact of galamsey and what has to be done to deal with it as a country. This week, he was officially nominated for that substantive position of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Paul Bafo-Boni. What does he bring to the table? What are the expectations of the members of the bar for the man who has been serving at the helm, at the bench of the highest court of judicature since 2008? It's a conversation we'll have this morning here on Keypoint, also live on 3FM 92.7. Is the bar under attack, or the calls for a reform of the bar is legitimate? This week, the majority chief whip, Nelson Roxon Dafiamekpo, together with few others, have gone to the Supreme Court seeking an interpretation and also asking questions of the Supreme Court as to whether the Ghana Bar Association being mentioned in the Constitution is reflective or related to the bar as we have it now. This is going to be a landmark ruling that they are seeking of the Supreme Court. What exactly has triggered this move? Well, we'll have a conversation with those who are seeking answers from the Supreme Court this morning. Right after this quick break, Musa Dankwa is joining us in the studio. There is a conversation that is brewing, a very interesting one, because the latest national poll that he put out indicates that a number of the respondents, almost 10,000 of them that he polled, majority of them say they want young leaders, young people to lead this country. What does this really mean in terms of age, policy thinking, or the disposition of these people? Stay with us. Poll Tracker is up after this quick break. We'll have a conversation. As always, you're an integral part of it. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on YouTube. We're live on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the City of London and the Voice of London television as well. Stay with us. We're back shortly. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Welcome to Keypoint on TV3 on behalf of the rest of the team. We're back shortly. Stay with us.
How ahodoɔ te sɛ afikyikro
Welcome back. You're still live on TV3 as Keypoint, also on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on YouTube. We're live as well on 3 News on YouTube as well, and all across the world on 3news.com, also on Facebook on TV3 Ghana, on a number of radio stations across the country. As I indicated earlier, Oliver Bakavomawo will be joining us, also Kofi Bentel, Martin Pebo, and Professor Ransford Jampo, Nelson Roxin Dapiomekbo, all of them will be here. We'll have a conversation this morning here on Keypoint, and we're live as well on 3FM 92.7 on the Voice of London Radio in the heart of the City of London. This segment, the Poll Tracker, is a data-driven segment where we show you verifiable data. If I say verifiable, is one that you watching us can also look out for yourself. So publicly available, verifiable data on matters of the economy, politics, social issues, environment, matters on the environment, as well as anything that bothers you that is reflective on data. We'll talk about it. On the economy, others as we've seen in the last few weeks gone by. Today, Poll Tracker focuses on the direction of the country, as was captured in the latest poll by Musa Dankwa, plus what kind of leader the people that he polled say they want. And it's a nationally reflective poll that he's done. And this, we understand, cut across all 16 regions. Musa Dankwa is the lead researcher and global lead for Global Info Analytics. He's joining us in the studio. Mr. Dankwa, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Alfred.
It's good to have you join us as always.
Nice to be here.
This you released when? This is 3 days ago?
Yes.
And you had a sample size of almost 2,000.
Total of 9,500 roughly.
Almost 10,000, let's say.
Yeah.
And you did a face-to-face of what? 7,500 of them you met face-to-face.
Yes.
And asked them questions.
Yes.
Covering all 16 regions. 83 constituencies. And the 83 constituencies spread across the 16 regions of the Republic.
Correct.
And you say your confidence level is what?
99%.
99%. 99%. Wow. Now let's get into it. This is one, we're starting from this point because it's intriguing and to say the least, that this almost 10,000 people you polled, 64% of these respondents say that you ask the question, should Ghana be led by young leaders? And 64% of them say yes. They agree that Ghana should be led by a young leader. Why is that? I mean, did you drill down the data or
no,
to find out?
We didn't drill down the data because this was just a quick question. We want to see what they're thinking. Subsequently, we might go back with further probing questions to understand their mindset.
I see. Now, because obviously, if anybody who is seeing this would be asking whether it's young in age or in thinking, as in policy or in the disposition of the person, you know, because we're talking about a young leader that can be looked at in many ways.
Young is young. There's no way you can spin the young to being old. Look, if you remember the current structure of a population, Ghana is a very young population. And indeed, if you listen to the speech of the president at the UN General Assembly and many other African countries, the country is young population. The growth is in Africa here. People are younger. And indeed, in the sample we interviewed, nearly 78% of the sample we engaged were below 44 years of age. Nearly 78% of the respondents
were below 44 years.
Yes.
Is that reflective of the national
of the voting
age?
It's about 75, so slightly, so it's within range.
Okay, so the total number of eligible voters nationwide are
About 75% of them are below 44 years.
Are below 44 years, 75%. So this sample size age bracket is reflective of what we have. And 64% of them say that they would prefer a young leader. And that's why I'm not spinning the young.
In fact, the 64% include even some of the old ones.
Some of the old ones.
Yes.
They say they want young leaders.
Yes.
You see, this mindset is one that Lawyer Martin Kpebu has been advocating for quite a while. That he says what he wants someone who is youthful, right? But then it also sends another signal, because the other persons, all these persons who are contesting to become flag bearers for both the MPP and the NDC, none of them can be described as young in the words of age. Okay, that's why I was asking if we look at the youthful definition in other areas apart from just the age.
I think. Look, it's about age.
It's about age.
It's about age.
The respondents want someone who is young.
Yes, as simple as that. It's about age. And comparatively, they are looking at what we've had in the past.
Okay.
Recent past. Nado was 73 or so when he became president. Mm-hmm. And that probably is the benchmark they're looking at and trying to see, maybe we want younger people to lead us. And look, subsequently, we have come up with the first data. Somebody else, and indeed, with time, we can go back and probe this question further. Mm-hmm. But it is clear that these people want people who reflect their youthful exuberance.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. You see, what's the probability that a young leader will do anything different from what the old leaders have done?
You see, it's about the thing.
It has to be something beyond just the age.
No, you see, you have to connect with the people. Uh-huh. You are governing, right? The people are around 44 years of age mm-hmm. and below. Your thinking, your mindset must reflect them. That's what they want to tell you. You must be able to connect to them and understand them better. The older you are, the less likely you can understand what these guys are thinking.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at the ages. Let's put this on the screen right now, because you see, all these persons have gone beyond the definition of the youth or the young leader that you're talking about. Okay, because for instance, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, let's say for the NDC, these are the top runners. The last poll that you did, this is what was the outcome, isn't it?
Yes.
That Haruna Iddrisu, based on the people that you polled, 27% of them said that they prefer Haruna Iddrisu as the flag bearer for the NDC. 26% Johnson Esiedun Ketia, 22% Dr. Kasiela Toforsin, Julius Debra follows in that order, Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, and Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins. Look at these, the first four. The ages of the first four top runners. Haruna Iddrisu, 55, 56 years. Johnson Esiedun Ketia, you see, 68, thereabout. Johnson Esiedun Ketia is 68 years. And Dr. Kasiela Toforsin is the youngest among them in terms of the ages. 47. He's 47, turning 48. Then Julius Debra, 59 years of age as well. Same age with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Look at the MPP. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, 59, is almost equivalent to the percentage that you got in there. Kennedy Ejapong, it's about, he's beyond his 60s. No, he's 65. 65 years. Then Brian Echampong, 52 years. You also have Dr. Yasser Duchum beyond his 60s. So, based on the ages of the front runners of both the MPP and the NDC, they don't fit this definition that you're talking about.
No, I didn't define what age bracket they mean by young.
But we're talking about young. We know what we mean.
No, you see, it depends on whether. Remember, the definition of young people, young people was rejected from 44. I think they wanted to bring it down to 40 years from 45.
Precisely.
It was rejected by the delegate.
Good.
So, look, I would say, I don't want to speculate, but I'll go back to the public and ask them what range of age are they looking at in terms of young. Mm-hmm. Look, but the trick is that add the numbers for the young people and see what that amounts to. Who's younger here? probably this guy, Brian
That's,
Champo.
yes.
So you add Brian Champo's number, 3%, Patrick Boama, 4%, 7%. Add that to Baumia, probably he's probably the third youngest, right?
Yes.
What do you get?
In the third youngest.
What do you get? Most of the voters are picking these younger people.
63.
Yeah.
If you're doing, yes, the percentage.
So 60, 63. So the share of vote of the younger people, outnumber those of the share of the older people.
Older people.
Go to the NDC one and you do the same thing and you see.
Okay, let's look at the NDC one. Yes.
Right. So if you are adding, look, Zenato 4 plus Ablakwa 8, what do you get? 12 plus Atifosin 22.
That's 36.
You add
34.
Add that to the next young one, 27. What do you get?
So 34.
Majority.
That's 61.
So you can see that the preferences are going towards the younger leaders. That's a clue.
So this reflects
Exactly.
what you're talking. So the sentiments are towards the younger
Absolutely.
leaders.
Absolutely.
You see, but that's where, you know, I'll still have you go back and
Now,
maybe you
just a
drill
quick
down
one.
the data.
When
Perfect.
you add the vote of the younger people in MPP, it was around 63%.
Yes. Let's look at that.
No, I think what must be, if you add this one, 56.
So that's Dr. Bamian 56.
Yes, plus 3.
Plus
Plus 4.
That's Patrick Boama and Brian Champo.
63.
63.
Right?
Yes.
If that of NDC is 61.
61. Yes.
So the share of the younger people's vote for MPP is 63, that of NDC 61. And proportion of people who said they want younger people, how about, what is that? 64%.
64%. Look at that. That's it. That's 64%. So it fits in. But you see, that's why then I was asking the question about what exactly is the real differentiator that would let respondents be attracted to the demand for a young leader in age as against a young leader in policy thinking, disposition, orientation. So because those are two different things. Somebody can really be old, but the policies can be youthful.
That's a bit of research. We've given you a clue. Someone can pick up from where we left and then go further and probe.
Well, one person whose sentiments still towards this, what you have just captured here, is joining us in the studio. Martin Kpebo is a private legal practitioner. He's a leader of the Kobe Reloaded demonstration and also regular here on Keypoint. Lawyer Martin Kpebo, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Mr. Ocansey.
This reflects your sentiments, doesn't
Exactly.
it?
It's heartwarming to see that majority of our people agree that we should have younger leaders. They've had their chance and I think they've done their bit, so they need to sit aside and then let's also take over. This is our time. Yes, it's our turn to take, the experiences, they can advise from the sidelines. Except that, when I look at it, 64, that's very strong. But to be honest, we're learning, we can't always say everything we say is cast in stone. Except that I've been wondering that when it comes to 2028, that this particular race, because of Johnson Ketia, because he's been in the trenches for long, you see that I've not been able to forcefully say that the 63 year, I had given that maximum age to be 63. I'm not able to say it forcefully for 2028 because I see that actually the grassroots people, the man is worked in the trenches, so it looks like maybe he'll be the last exception. Then, so you see that every time I keep saying 2032, it won't happen, 2032, it won't happen. So for 2028, it looks to me like, well, if he's able to make it because he's worked the trenches for long.
You mean Johnson Ketia?
Yes, because he's been in the trenches for long. It looks like maybe from the little that I hear around, the whispers around, it looks like maybe he would be the last exception, right? Yes, but Baumia, I'm surprised that they say the young people in the MPP, they prefer him. Baumia doesn't stand a chance in 2028.
Why do you say this so emphatically? How do you know that?
Oh, no. 1.6 million votes. You can't wipe out 1.6 million votes in a 4-year cycle unless NDC, just misrule to a level beyond even what Akufo-Addo did. I think we're going to sit down for them to do that. They won't get that chance. What Akufo-Addo did was the last. There's still a lot of anger in the system. You see why John Mahama's approval ratings,
which we will get to,
is coming down. There's still a lot of anger. What Akufo-Addo did to us we are not going to sit down for that to happen again. Then this country will explode.
So the
There's
only
a lot
chance,
of-
the only chance you say, or the factors that will play to the advantage of the NPP is if the NDC misgoverns
Extremely.
beyond what we saw.
Akufo-Addo did.
And-
But you see that by the, what do you call it, statistics, okay, the track record, JM's administration has always been better than Akufo-Addo. For 8 years, Akufo-Addo couldn't beat JM 1 year on the corruption fight. When it comes to press freedom, yeah, it was 2018, the one we held the World Press Freedom here. That was the year that Akufo-Addo did well, but it didn't even match JM's highest. So, long story short, press freedom, JM is better than Akufo-Addo. When it comes to economy, JM is better, etc. Right? Democracy, JM is better. So, based on the records, if JM just goes a little bit beyond what he did the last time, his administration will be better than Akufo-Addo. And you see, the main thing is that the citizenry have changed. You see, the Gen Z people, Musa Dankwai, there's a lot of anger in the system. So if there's a least misrule, Charlie, no, we won't like what.
And especially, you make a very good point, because the total eligible voters nationwide, 75% of them are below 45 years.
Good.
So these are people who are then in middle or upper class. They've experienced the real impact of the economy over the period. A number of them have been hit in many ways by the economic situation, the governance situation. They live the realities that we talk about on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So that would definitely influence the decision they take on who becomes leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is what we're seeing.
Absolutely. Yes. And so, yeah, let's say, is the economy stupid? First, you start with the stomach.
Indeed.
Yes, people's sustenance needs, because the first human instinct is self-preservation. As you try to preserve yourself, one of them will be you have to live first.
Absolutely.
You have to be able to eke out a living, right? Yes, so if you look at it in that context, yes, this current administration, you have JM is 1958, right? So about 67. Right? So, but as I said, you are looking at the old track record. I mean, from all indication, he's going to do far better. Okay, so if he's going to do far better,
All things being equal.
yes, thank you. It's not going to be that bad. So the person going to take over for him, as I said, because of the huge mandate they got, 1.6 million, it looks like it will be extremely difficult at this stage to insist on the less than 63 for 2028. But beyond that, I think the voices will count a lot more.
This is
I'm being
because
open.
yes. I mean, that's based. This is your view.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
and I like the viewers to
Yes.
understand it in that perspective. You're
Yes.
saying because of what you have picked
Yes.
on the ground,
Yeah.
with respect to the front runners of the NDC flag bearership,
Yes.
even though Musa Dankwa's poll puts Haruna Idrisu ahead, you say that it's too early to discount Johnson Esiedu
Yeah,
Ketia.
don't.
Because
Don't
he's been
at
in
all.
the trenches,
Yeah,
he's
he's been in
risen
the
through the
trenches
ranks and
forever.
become chairman
Yes.
and so on.
Otherwise, if you ask him from my heart, based on all the things I've been saying, who should I go for? Do you want that? Do you want
Yes.
that? Oh, from my heart, certainly I would have gone for Atuforsin and Okujeto, straight.
Your vote will be for Atuforsin and Okujeto.
Yes, because you see, the Evers haven't been on the ballot for a long time, since JJ left, right? So, for a long time, they haven't been there, right? And Atuforsin, because, like, so, compromise candidate between Haruna and Esiedu Ketia.
Yes.
Because you know that between, actually, Esiedu Ketia and Julius Debra, Haruna's son, you see, Haruna is a very affable lawyer, everything, but, the demographics, I think the demographics, we still have a bit of a challenge in terms of our demographics. Yeah. Yes. And Musa Dankwa, the last time, if my memory serves me right, I said this is an online pool, right?
No. This is
So
This one is
this
now
one,
on
let me show you that. This one
okay.
is 7,500. That's about almost 75% face to face.
Okay.
Because the sample size is almost 10,000. That's 9,000.
But I think the number you have there is an insertion of the last poll,
The last poll.
which was almost the same sample size.
So that's reflective, and it's important you bring these denominators, because that also helps in understanding what we have here. There must be a story behind the numbers.
Yeah.
They must give us a direction of the thinking of the people. Let me acknowledge the presence of Kofi Bentel. He is a private legal practitioner. He's a vice president of policy think tank Imani Africa. Mr. Bentel, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. Your vote is clear. You know what? You've been very clear across board of who your heart is for.
My mind too.
And your mind that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has your love.
No, there's not just love.
What else?
I think of the lot there, pound for pound, ideas, the nature of the man, his experience, everything. They are good guys, but definitely, I think of the lot. Even the numbers show you that Dr. Bawumia is head and shoulders above all of them. And we will be the better off as a country if he ends up in Jubilee.
That's what Martin Bebo thinks. You heard him. Seated right beside you.
He said that 8 years, he can't come. His best chance will be 2032. And by then, he'll be too old. He'll be almost 70 years. No, we're not going to say that 2032 to be ruled by a 70-year-old. No, those days, they are over.
Okay.
It's just that 2028, well, we're not too sure. But 2032, anybody beyond 63 years has no chance.
I see.
No, there will be no chance.
Well, let me hear Mr. Bento. I think it's very clear in
my
his
brother
thoughts.
Martin go on and on and on. Look, on this matter, listen to me. He is so wrong. It is
wrong.
not salvageable. He can't be helped. Listen, there was a trend in America, and America is a very good place to look at when it comes to democratic trends and all those things. Bill Clinton was 45 years old. I think 47 or so.
Yes.
When he became president.
Yes.
Okay? Before him, there was a guy called Don Quayle, who was vice president. Very young guy. And then Bill Clinton comes in, 47 or 45 or so, with Al Gore, who was 44 at the time. And listen, in the 200-year-old history of the US, Bill Clinton, who they didn't think was going to be a good guy, is the guy who balanced the budget, set the American economy up. He was an extremely successful president. 47-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Then after him, you have George Bush, and then you get Barack Obama, who was 47. All right?
That's right.
So there was a trend, and people felt like America is just going to go for young people. Because really, they are cutting it, they know what's up and all those things. Guess what happened? Donald Trump is 79 years today. All right?
Yes.
Almost a decade after that youth bomb, they go for a very old man. And I'm telling you, in the last 100 years, Donald Trump has been the most impactful president in the US. Impactful. For right or for wrong, different thing. What I mean is, no, that's not the point. The point I'm making is, age is just a number. And Donald Trump has wiped the floor with all those younger guys and all they stood for and all their potentials and everything. So there is nothing that Martin is standing on to talk about his age politics and we will not allow this and you know that. Who are you? The point is this. When the chips fall, Ghanaians are going to determine, based on who they are seeing, who they want. So I like the point he makes when he says that you shouldn't write off Asiedun Ketia. Look, if you go to NDC, I'm telling you, there are two people on this thing who I know will become president. Two.
You want to stick out your neck?
I won't stick out my neck for anybody. But they are my friends. And they will become president.
They will become?
Oh, yeah, they will become president. In my lifetime.
Okay.
Oh.
In your lifetime?
Yes.
Okay.
Easy. But Asiedun Ketia is one of the smartest politicians this country has ever seen. And his biggest asset is that he casts himself in such a mold that you always underestimate him. And he'll kill you. All right? So look,
what's a submarine politician?
Yeah,
kind of.
you know, he comes across Coco as a Karachi. He's a supremely smart guy. And he's extremely effective. All right? So see, don't use age at all. Look, we are experiencing a youth bomb. The millennials, you know, Gen Zs will take over. All right? They will take over.
Exactly.
No, let me finish my point. That generation is the no-nonsense generation. They don't have reverence for anything. They don't have respect for anything. They look at what's on the ground and say, what's good for me, and they move. So the one who is going to prove himself as capable of doing the things that we need to do. If he's 100 years old, they'll vote for him. Age is nothing. Nothing. I can go on, but forget. Age is nothing.
So the major denominator you look at here is the one who is able to prove himself.
Yes.
That he can do and meet the expectations of the young people.
Exactly.
And not so much about a young person.
Exactly. That's what Donald Trump shows us. The one who will prove himself to these young, no-nonsense people that he can do what they want. If they find somebody who is their age, who is a wet blanket, and there's an old man holding a stick in a wheelchair who can deliver, they'll vote for the old man.
Well, there are a number of things that Martin Bebo says will work for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. That is, if the NPP stands a chance in 2028, that this administration must misgovern.
Extremely. Extremely.
Beyond what we saw.
Who is going to sit down for that?
Again, Martin's analysis leaves a lot of room for critique. Who is going to sit down for that? Yeah, let me tell you something. Nobody in this country today has the kind of, it's not moral authority, but President Mahama is riding a very powerful wave. Nobody can stand up to him right now. Nobody. To that extent.
Except the people.
Nobody.
No,
listen, let me finish my case. When I say nobody, what I mean is nobody can even mobilize people against President Mahama today. It's extremely popular. All right? And the nature of the man is such that he never goes to any extreme. Too good, too bad. No, he stays there. So you will not be able to raise anything. It will take a huge tsunami. Okay? So, President Mahama is riding a very powerful wave. And today, as we speak, he's becoming an imperial president.
How do you mean? What exactly do you mean by that?
Parliament can't control him. And the judiciary can't control him.
If you say they can't control him,
I'm saying can't. Cannot.
What do you say?
They can try. He has total control over his people in Parliament, and they have total control over Parliament. All right? And you have a situation where we are just getting into a new Chief Justice after the old one was removed by President Mahama.
Well, did the president remove her?
Didn't the president sign a warrant to remove the Chief Justice? The Chief Justice is contending that the process is not good, and I think she has a case, but that's another matter. The point I am making is that today, as we speak, President Mahama is enjoying a honeymoon, extreme popularity. The parts of government that have to control him by virtue of the nature of our constitutional architecture, Parliament and the judiciary, he's neutered them. All right? So if you put that together, nobody. Okay, it will take something that I don't see can happen. To that extent, therefore, in the next 4 years, I think President Mahama is going to be fine. However, when Martin says that, something, except he misgoverns or whatever it is, there are some dynamics in the coming election which we haven't seen before in this republic. A 4-year presidency. And usually, after a 4-year presidency, they will get a second term, even if people are disaffected with them. The power of incumbency and a number of things will lead to a second term. Now, but that is if you have the same horse. So if President Mahama was going again, I can sit here today and tell you that chances that he will lose will be very slim. But he's going to change horse. NDC is going to change horse. A new person is going to come in. New people come in with their baggage, okay? And they may or may not have the blessing of the previous government, as in President Mahama. Who does President Mahama favor in the NDC race? People will tell you it's Julius Debra. All right? But there's going to be this break and change of horse. Julius Debra will have to bring his own heft, okay? And then President Mahama will have to really help him. In our history, the help of incumbent presidents to new persons has not helped or has not been successful. There's rumor that President Kufuor wanted a different person other than Nana Akufo-Addo. All right? It didn't happen. And President Kufuor is very popular. There's a rumor that Nana Akufo-Addo wanted a different person apart from Mahmoud Bawumia. What happened? Bawumia won. So incumbent presidents and their support of their candidates don't usually turn out to be right. And that fact that there is huge disaffection with NPP and the Danado government, which led to a number of people staying home, and those who voting against the NPP should not be written off. And 4 years is a long time to cure some of that. So I am quite sure some of the NPP faithful will come back to vote. And there is a definite possibility that even if President Mahama has done well, because he's going to change horse, because NDC is going to change horse, they may not vote for him.
I
So
see.
look, the dynamic we are going to go into after the next, in the next election, we've never seen before.
Okay,
So we'll have to listen to people like Musa Dankwa very closely.
And in fact, that's why he's here every now
Yes.
and then, because it's one that we would have to reflect and reference when we're talking about the data-driven conversation. So it's not just about, for you, it's not just about the misgovernance or good governance or otherwise that we'll experience in the next 3 years and 3 months. But then again, the transition process
Yes.
in the NDC
Yes.
could also have an impact.
Yes.
So much so that
A good governance will be useful.
if the transition process is smooth and they choose someone that the party people want
And President Mahama
and
wants.
President Mahama wants, that could also influence the outcome. Oliver Bakavomawa is here. He is a private legal practitioner as well, the convener of the Fix the Country movement. Good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. I hope you're
It's
doing
been a
well.
while. It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Indeed. Now you caught in the conversation as we started, but you haven't lost so much. Does this reflect what you see? That yes, you are a representation of, maybe for want of a better expression, a representation of the generation that is demanding this kind of leader.
Despite all my gray hair.
Despite all your gray hair, yes.
I'll say this. I see, first of all, maybe it's reacting a bit to Kofi's point, that we are a bit formalistic in thinking that, institutions that are necessarily created by law are the counterweights in a democracy. For instance, you talk about the judiciary and parliament. They are not necessarily where you go for how the opposition to the president, or how to keep the president in check consistently. For us, it's perhaps the bureaucracy, the bureaucracy of how governance is done, puts the president in check or puts a kink in the ability to implement the agenda. So across board, at various levels, your ability to, whether it's a DC level, whether it's assemblymen, whether it's party folks at the ground, whether it's civil servants who are not, very active in implementing, those ones keep you in check more than what we think the formal centers of power are. Now, I look at this, and I mean, it's interesting to see, like the polls that, Musa has put together. And I'm kind of wondering, like when I look at the NDC, for instance, one, I am wondering whether people's perception of who should be a leader is also influenced by persons who have been in leadership before. So, for instance, when you look at Haruna Idrisu, who has been leader of the minority caucus in parliament. You've seen Ato Forson also being in that position before. And then, Asiedun Ketia, who's leading the party. So there's a sense of bias, perhaps you can say there. What is more interesting to me, and perhaps a lot more organic, is Aneto, who's able to pull enough to be on the list. Because she has never been in parliamentary leadership. She's not held any ministerial position. But there's a sense of affection that still kind of people want to see. And that's interesting.
Zaneto Rollins?
Yes, Zaneto Rollins. So that's interesting. And potentially, perhaps there's something more there than we think we can fully articulate.
And we're seeing a lot more of her in the media now. She's gone to interviews, doing,
She's likely to be somebody's vice.
Youth-oriented kind of engagements, lifting, stuff.
And what I find curious, though,
yes,
is some of the conversation around Haruna Idrisu. Because it's so curious to me, and I think that a lot of this is also steeped in the ethnicism that we don't acknowledge.
Right.
Like it is perfectly fine for candidates from the South to succeed each other. There's no problem with it. But somehow, when Haruna is tossed into the mix, we're like, well, Mahama is from the North. And so what? Rollins was from the South. Mills from the South. We saw the same thing happening on the, from the MPP side. You went from Kufuor, and then we've gone to Akufo-Addo. Those are southern candidates that have come after each other. So it's never been a problem. And I'm quite, interested in why this is a big thing that we need to talk about. So I'm not somebody who's going to rule him out necessarily.
As in
just because it's Haruna Idrisu. I'm not going to rule him out. I think that even internally, that he has such a strong presence in the North that I don't know. I believe sincerely, if any candidate here partners Haruna Idrisu, they're going to win. That's my sentiment generally, in terms of kind of how strong he is. I think that the southern candidates will divide themselves up in the south. But then again, hey, those are, how do you call it? More anecdotal than researched, in any regard.
You juxtapose the influence of Haruna Idrisu and Johnson Essiedu Nketia, because bear in mind, they have to win the internal elections before talk about anything external or national, for that matter. These two, or the top 5 runners, let's put them that way, so we don't leave anybody out. If you look at the influence they have within the party, internally, now, would you say that Haruna Idrisu, Johnson Essiedu Nketia, Tophos and Julius Deborah, they can muscle it out, and you would have a clear-cut winner by now, sticking your neck out that, look, this person is going to be the one who would come out?
I genuinely believe that Essiedu Nketia and Julius are going to... The competition is between them. Not in terms of for the flag bearership.
Julius Deborah?
Not for the flag bearership. I'm saying that competition is between them, is that they're going to be cancelling each other out more.
Right.
It's not surprising to me that Essiedu's first stop is the Eastern region. It's not surprising to me. So I think that there's going to be a sense of competition between them.
Tour.
Yes. That for the thank you tour, right? So that is not. I think that in that process of cancelling each other out, that might allow somebody like Haruna to go and skate a bit. Now, when I look at this, I think that if by providence Essiedu and Haruna decided that they were going to partner somewhat, they're going to run away with the tickets. And the same way, I think that if I don't know, I'm actually more surprised about Tufosin's numbers than anything. I'm more surprised by it. I don't know whether it's because it's polling voters, right? Not delegates, essentially. So I don't know.
These are voters.
Voters. So I'm not surprised by him. I haven't gotten the sense that he has such, clamor around persons who are likely to vote in the primaries. So I don't know. His numbers are quite interesting, and perhaps we'll see what that becomes in the long run.
And as well, a number of things are working for him. The economy, finance minister, he's not talking too much. His neck is deep in the job. So yes, that's why, Mr. Nakwa, what really led you to even throwing his name in the midst of this? Because he hasn't, been on the lips of people.
You just have to be realistic in terms of people who could. And the finance position is a huge portfolio. You can't leave him out when he's capable of leading. So you have to pick those who have shown interest, including those who haven't shown interest, but you think there could be a critical equation in who becomes NDC's flag bearer. So the list you have here, in fact, in the next one that will come out on Monday, the list has been expanded, and all the big guns.
You have more people than
more people than what we have now. Because people were calling and said that, look, my guy is contesting. This guy put me in, put me there. So when we settle that round,
so did you add the Agric Minister, Eric Opoku?
Everybody is included.
I see. All right. So,
what do you know about Agric Minister?
Everybody is included.
So do you have an idea of how many you have on Monday? Those who are for the
I can mention the names. Okay, the additional ones we have. Iwalda who is there. We have Joshua Alabi is there. We have Okuvandapo is there.
Okuvandapo,
yes. Absolutely. We brought those two in because we wanted to see the behavior, the gang block, to see the impact they would have.
Right.
And we also have what do you call this guy? Spirit Gabatu is there. So we have all the names that in addition to these ones.
The names that won't
interesting stuff. Anyway, let me, because there are a few more we'll just cross through. Professor Ransford Jampo is with us as well. He's been away doing the Lord's work for quite a while. Professor Ransford Jampo is the CEO of Ghana Shippers Authority. Prof, good morning. Welcome.
Morning. Preliminary comments.
This has to be very brief because you didn't. Nobody has.
Have you done
no, not at all. So I want us to no. I want us to speak so that we'll come back to it.
You record them and play them.
But I want you to on this, and I'm not going to take it from you.
Okay.
Right? Perfect. Let's go
just to say, great to see Oliver. This is the first time I'm meeting him in person.
I see. Interesting.
And then my senior rich man, Kofi Benton.
God bless your mouth.
Great to see you guys here. Alfred, maybe I'm going to disappoint you. I'm not interested in this for now. We appear to be plagued with a perpetual crisis of politics of succession in a manner that makes us always focus on who must win an election. Immediately an election is over. Who must win again? Rather than focusing on the bread and butter issues that affect the good people of the country. And so I always want us to focus on how to govern, how to fix problems. If we govern and govern well, if we address the bread and butter issues well, if we are able to put in place more proactive measures to address illegal mining and galamsey, if we're able to do all these,
which we will get to.
Yeah, if we're able to do all these, then these create the fertile grounds for us to be thinking about who must lead to continue the good works that may have been initiated. And so, rather than thinking about who succeeds President Mahama, I would want to believe that, for me, the most important thing is how President Mahama succeeds, how he governs well to justify the confidence of the good people of Ghana in him. That is what I want us to focus on. And that is what I've heard most of the people you are talking about also, talking about that. Look, it is important to focus on what to do to better the lot of the people of Ghana. What to do to ensure that President Mahama leaves a good legacy. And I want to believe that this is what Honorable Julius Deborah is thinking about. This is what Honorable Atuforsen is thinking about. This is what Asiedun Ketia and Idris Uharina, these are the kinds of things that they are thinking about. And I think that we would help Ghana, would do a lot of service to Ghana if we are able to keep the conversation on governance and how to solve the problems of the people. The same thing applies to the MPP too. I mean, I think that for now, what is important for them, as far as I'm concerned, is how they restructure themselves, how they put their acts together, how they address their own internal issues, which we spoke about, but they ignored. And it played out when we said some people will be breaking away, when we said that they would suffer an unprecedented defeat if they don't put in place certain mechanisms, if they don't address some of their own internal challenges. They called our bluff. They said we were just mere naysayers. And it played out. The very internal challenges that we spoke about, some have started playing up again. And I'm saying that for them, I don't believe Ghana, by our constitution, is a multi-party democracy.
True.
It's not a two-party state. And we do not want to move away also from the two-party state to a one-party state. If they don't put their house together and they are thinking about who leads for now, gradually we'll be making the NDC a one-party, that will be ruling. And I think that will be unfair to our democracy.
Well, they have a flag bearer race on January 31, which is just some 4 months away from now.
January 31 is what?
For their flag bearership.
Well, I mean, even amongst them, even internally amongst them, some of them have expressed grave concern about that decision that was taken. You have a lot of them who believe that it's important that they build the party from the scratch. It's top-down, bottom-up approach, in trying to reconstruct or rebuild themselves. But I mean, some of them will not listen, and so they have what they are. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, by way of general principle, I believe that we should learn to be doing first things first. Okay. First things first in the case of the ruling NDC government is for all of us, those of us who have had the privilege to help and to serve in the government, and those who are also all of us who have had the privilege to help and serve with President Mahama. It is important that we all focus on how to help him govern and how to help him deliver on the promises that he's made to the good people of Ghana. And it is important that Musa Dankwa and you, what you also have to do, I want us to shift a little by focusing on the key, our research now on the key bread and butter issues.
So tell
and
you
the
what,
discussion must also focus on what is being done to address the challenges of the people. Let us leave this thing let us defer it, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, let us defer it to a later date, because this is what is happening in Ghana. Immediately elections are over, the next dominating and overarching thinking of the people becomes who wins, the next time. But why do we elect leaders? We elect leaders to do what? We elect leaders to elect another leaders. We elect leaders to solve problems. Okay, and so if leaders have been elected and they are solving problems, my view is that let us pat them on their shoulder and let us encourage them to continue to keep their foot on the pedal so that our lots will be improved. Once things have been done well for us, then we would have time to talk about who must succeed that leader to continue with the good work. That's my take.
So that's your point of view, okay? But then again, the reason why this conversation comes up is because, one, the NPP in itself, in less than 4 months, are going to the polls to elect who will lead them. The NDC is looking closely at what is happening in there. All of this is a part of the bigger pie of the governance that you talk about, right? So you're not actually very far away from what we are doing now, okay? But then again, this leads to this particular issue, this point that you make. Because you are a part of this government, you are an appointee of this government, right? The president's job approval. In July, the poll showed that what? 73% of the respondents said the president is doing well.
Yeah.
Let's walk through the latest, what you found in September.
This in July, 73%.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
In September, that number has declined to 67%.
67%.
Yeah.
So that's about 6 percentage points
Drop
in
the approval of the president.
That should be concerning for you, Prof. Jampo, isn't it?
Well, 73% dropped to 67%. There are so many factors that are variables that can go into explaining this drop. It is important to note that regardless of how popular a leader may be, you would not be 100% popular and stay there in perpetuity. Okay? Human beings, I mean, that is who we are. Today we like you, tomorrow you do something small, and then the way and manner we like you will reduce. Right. What I can say is that it is not possible that the approval rates of President Mahama would remain as it was at the time of his election, to the time of his exit, from power. Definitely. Have you seen ruling governments contesting elections, getting a certain percentage of votes, and then going into the next election, maintaining that same percentage or improving? Oftentimes, the percentage would be reducing. And so, for me, this is fine. It's reduced from 73 to 67, and I want to hope and believe that as these things are articulated and as he sees some of the things that may have led to a reduction will be corrected. And so I can see 73 to 67. The next time I can predict it may go up. The next time it may go down. But so long as it oscillates between these figures, and it tells you that majority of the people are still approving his governance and his leadership, I think he's fine.
Well, 8 months, almost 9 months on, and you see this decline, you say it's normal.
For me,
for
me, it is normal. It is not going to dwindle from 67 in the next round of survey. I don't believe so. I'm sure that things will be done to up it, but you will be falling within. The most important thing is that I can predict and I can tell you that at the end of the season that this period, this survey will be concluded, if you like, to the end of the year or even to the end of his term, you will still have a good number of Ghanaians or majority of Ghanaians approving him.
Another one will be done before end of year. Is that correct? So
yes.
You are doing another one before the year ends.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. But,
okay.
but like I'm saying, the most important thing is that, see, democracy is about the views of the majority. Okay, democracy is about the views of the majority. And I know, given the way things are going, he would remain the favorite of the majority of Ghanaians.
Zabento has said something in that regard. But then again, one of the issues that influenced this approval rating going down is galamsey. That leads us to our next matter. Because a number of the people who also responded disapproved of a number of things, including the fight against illegal mining and the state in which the fight is in now, which you referenced briefly. So that is what is one of a number of issues working against the president.
No, we did not cover galamsey issue in this round of poll. The galamsey issue was previously.
Yes, and you made reference to the fact that the people were not too happy.
During the time of the poll, the galamsey issue was heightened.
Exactly.
And certainly
what was
it
the
would
outcome?
influence the people's perception.
He didn't cover it. He wanted to. He's making a categorical.
We didn't cover.
I'm talking about the previous.
Yeah, we did talk about galamsey.
What was the outcome of that?
Most people did not say it was getting worse.
They didn't say it was getting worse.
No.
I don't see it.
So, Prof, he said most people did not say it was getting worse.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the narrative out there is that it's worsened
It is worse.
in the last period in the last 8 months compared to how it used to be in the last
But
8
you've
years.
made
But
the
he's
In
saying-
fact, the data doesn't suggest that. In fact, if you look at the data drilling down to the mining areas themselves, if you go globally, from the survey globally, you can see heightened tension across the country because some people will see the impact of galamsey on their lives.
Yeah.
But in the locality of where galamsey is done, the view was different.
Yeah.
But
So-
you say that, yes, Mr. Bento.
So, Musa, start watching something that we are seeing. Galamsey affects the poor and local people more than it affects the urban middle class. Why? Because we have more choices. None of us here drinks tap water. All right? So you have that situation, okay? But the poor are left with those things. But I told you about something called the galamsey economy,
True.
which is affecting 4 million people now. All right? Because of the galamsey economy, the poor people who it affects, or those people in the regions, etc., if you ask them, they don't see galamsey as a problem. So over time, we are detecting that galamsey will become an elite fight, but will have the impact on the poor.
Right.
You understand? Yeah.
Ultimately, on all of us.
Yeah. And this is where a country needs leadership. Because the guys down there are going into the pits, and now there are women in the pits. All right? Because they have
Well, not
to
a bit
live.
now. In fact, they've been in the pit for quite a while.
Yeah. No, now you see elderly women. They leave the markets and go to the pits.
Yes.
Because they make more money
It's
there.
been a phenomenon, at least. We monitored this. The
Yeah.
last 5-6 years, we've done stories.
So we need
Women in the
leadership
pit.
because you can't expect the people themselves to raise themselves out of that because poverty is a terrible thing. And if you don't have that leadership, therefore, then we have left them to it. It's going to get worse. They won't complain. But then the country will pay the price. So this is where we need our leaders to get up and say, hey, you are making money from it though, but you are going to end up with a child who has 3 legs.
In fact, with
So
there's-
I agree that, so Kofi is saying that it may be true that the data on the ground may not suggest that the people are worried about it. But the point is that it will still may have influenced. I mean, I'm not sure you spoke to just ordinary people. There are people, discerning people.
Yes.
So it will still may have influenced the ratings, of the president. It is important for us to put it on record that things are being done to address galamsey. That notwithstanding, you have a good number of people, including civil society leaders, who still believe that more radical interventions would have to be put in place to be able to address the canker. And it is a legitimate call for the good people of Ghana to say that, look, we have seen what is being done. Recently, yesterday, when I knew we were talking about it, so I called the minister. Minister, so what is the latest intervention? Said, now they have water bodies and certain forest zones have been declared as security zones.
Yes.
You are aware of that?
I'm aware of that. In fact, let me just say this flows from a recommendation exactly a week ago on this show.
Oh, exactly a week ago.
Kofi Bentil made that proposal that instead of a state of emergency, why don't we look at the declaration of security zones of these areas? I think the minister picked this without
you see, and that is
any
and
payment to Kofi Bentil, by the way.
and that is and Kofi, give me a high five. You've done well.
And somebody suggested it.
And that is, you see, I was going to say, or you see, and that is one good thing about President Mahama. You see, he listens. Martin Kpebu used to have a certain description of President Akufo-Addo, which I disagreed with. I don't want us to go there. But President Mahama, you know, in the lead up to the 2024 elections, a campaign promise was the law that was passed by the previous government that actually allows people to go and mine down Ghana and leave dangerous ecological footprints, you know, on the environment. The campaign promise was that when NDC wins, they were going to repeal that law. And then a party won, and some way, somehow, they said, oh, there are aspects of the law that you can tinker, you can just remove and then allow the law. The people, we sat here, civil society, the people said, no, you will not allow you to just tinker with that law. Throw the whole law into the garbage. Now, today, we are being told that that suggestion of the people has been listened to, and that's so the next parliament, that entire law will be thrown away, so that it becomes absolutely illegal for you to get into the
when
forest.
parliament reconvenes.
Yes.
Okay.
So President Mahama has listened, and then I'm being told, I didn't watch. I mean, for some reason, I was very busy last week, and so I didn't watch. But I called the minister yesterday in the afternoon that I'll be on Keypoints. What is the latest intervention are you putting in place to address illegal mining? He said, now we have declared those areas as security zones. And I said, what does that mean? He said that now, previously, you send soldiers and police officials there. When they are going, we are told that they themselves will announce their presence. We are coming, so if you are there, run away. The people will run away. They will go and station there for 2 days. They will leave. And then the people, and when they are leaving too, they will inform the people, please, we are leaving, so go and mine. And then the people will go. He's telling me that now, in declaring the security, those areas as security zones, you're going to have these soldiers stationed there permanently.
Hey, we don't want soldiers or police.
Well, the security agencies stationed there permanently. And once they are permanently there, they are now empowered to deal
with
ruthlessly with people. Ruthlessly. No, you see, Martin, please. You see,
so because
it is a war. You see, I kept saying
yes,
that.
but wars are also fought with rules. It's still law.
Yeah, war is war.
Okay. Hold on.
What I'm saying,
I'll come to you.
So what I'm saying is that these security agencies are going to be stationed there permanently, and they've declared those areas as security zones. And so, if you trespass, they will deal with you. Right. And what worries me is that you see, Ghana, Yepasem, Israsem, galamsey is a war against all of us. Okay, people are killing us. We are being killed slowly. But when you respond, the one who is putting poison in our water to drink, and we are drinking and we are dying, if you eliminate him, you get people like Martin Kpebu to come and say that, but why should you do this? And so we must fight it. We must resort to all drastic measures to fight it. But when the same drastic measures are being resorted to, we'll come and sit here and talk.
Okay.
So what should we do? And so, I want to commend the minister. He told me this today, and I want to commend Kofi Bentil and this platform that if truly this idea was mooted on this, I mean, we have shaped so many things, in Ghana, and I'm excited to be a member of this august platform. If this idea was thrown out there, from this platform, then it's something good. And so I think that we should encourage the government. We should encourage the government to keep its foot on the pedal. and to do more, even in the fight against galamsey. It is not the case that it was good, it was bad yesterday and it can be good today. If it is worse, I expect and will continue to demand. Was it not here that I used the analogy that it is not good to be mopping a flat, okay, mopping the floor with a mop
the tap is
when
open.
the tap is on. And for me, what I think must be done is that you shut the tap so that you can
So
mop.
you supported the declaration of the state of
so
emergency.
it's a position that I hold, that I'm not shying away from, so that if there are targeted areas that we can say that, hey, here it's an emergency, declare that state of emergency, in those targets, a targeted area. And so this, we are going to do X, Y, Z. I believe it will be the way to go. But the leader of the country, who has the mandate of the people, says, allow me to, number one, revoke some of the illegal mining licenses that were given. We are told that just within the transition period, over 55 mining licenses were given, and they've all been revoked. Over 900 mining licenses are also being revoked because of certain irregularities. They are going to repeal the law that actually allow people to go into the forest to mine it down. And then we are also being told that these forest areas and water bodies have been now declared as security zones with police or security personnel stationed there, stationed there for all the time, 24/7. They're going to be there. And so the president says, well, I would now declare the state of emergency. I'll use it as a last resort if all these things do not yield, the desired results. And now people are talking that to the extent that some of us called for a state of emergency, and the sitting president is saying, I want to put in place several interventions. If they don't yield, I would declare. People are talking about, why should the president say so? And people are calling me that, but I said I needed a state of emergency.
You've been consistent on it. Yes, you've been consistent on this part. But you see,
I'm saying that you are here and viewers are here. Anytime I came in here, I made sure that, it's a principled position that I took, and I still stand by it.
Okay, well, Mr. Beto, I'm going to come to Oliver for good reason. But Mr. Beto, this is not the first time we're going on this path. In fact, the previous administration declared these areas a red zone. The water bodies and the forest reserves, a red zone. Deployed military, police personnel to guard these red zones. Now we have the same format but with a different name. So we have a security zone. How different? Because I was looking for the detail. For example, I've spoken to the minister, giving some pointers of what detail would be in this security zone. We see something similar in the red zones as we saw. What difference do you want to see to ensure some level of efficiency as against what we saw when we went on the path of declaring these places as red zones 3 years ago?
So it's like they say, a distinction without a difference. And the politicians play us. None of us here would doubt that the galamsey is a problem on both political sides. Galamsey raises money for the politicians, and so they play games with us on it. Red zone, security zone, all those things, which is why I say galamsey, the fight will not be won. Unfortunately, you have a situation where, like you're saying, they come and just change the name and do more or less the same things in the past 20 years. I am hoping that it will change this time, all right? But let us deal with the issues first. Look, there was too much politicking around galamsey. So you had, state of emergency was a campaign promise, and you guys hit on it, rightly so, all right? Repealing the law, the airline, was a campaign promise. It was used to beat the past government, rightly so. Let me finish.
Just a second, so that you can continue. No, I've been looking at this carefully. See, if you say it was a campaign promise, the major campaign tool of every political group seeking to capture political power is its manifesto. Have you checked the manifesto?
Okay, so I'm not talking about the manifesto. What I said is that
it was used. I wanted to be sure.
Let me not lose my trend.
Okay.
So to come back, it was used as politicking. I'm saying that because over politicization of a real problem leads to it not being solved. It becomes political football. So, and then you had a situation of deploying military people. Just deploying military people doesn't solve the problem. You have to have a strategy behind that. And the strategy wasn't good enough. So look, the truth is that the military people went and they were protecting galamsey people. I'm saying all these things because I am hoping that this government, with all the goodwill it has, actually does the substantive things that make a difference. I am happy that they've listened. I'm happy that they've declared the security zones. It is not enough.
Yeah.
Let me explain. If you declare a security zone, how long can you keep the people there? Number two, who owns the land? So there were a number of things that I said. And let me repeat. If somebody decides to go and pour mercury on the land, decides to go and put a champagne on the river and mess it, and the fishes are dead. If somebody decides to rip up a forest, and listen, the name forest reserve means we have reserved it from normal exploitation. How do you go into a reserve to go and rip it up and mine it? So my point is this. If somebody decides to do that, forfeit the land. They are poisoning the land and all of us are suffering from it. That chief should lose the land. So I'm saying go beyond security zones. If you catch somebody anywhere around the galamsey place, forfeit that whole land to the state. That will bring up issues of ownership, etc. So even if you are not there, the person can access the land back.
Sure.
Number two, look, we have legal regimes around
the
this
land
thing.
as in so that let the state confiscate
The state confiscate the land, yes.
Okay, it no longer belongs to
yes,
us.
yes.
No, I just want
Please,
to,
yes.
I just want
I think it's important
Yes.
to
understand.
Yeah.
that.
Now, let me make this point. And it is in our law, but they are not implementing it well.
Right.
If somebody purports that I'm going to do mining, that person necessarily has to have a certain minimum capital. You need to inspect it. And today what I'm saying is, let that person put the capital in reserve. If you don't have $10 million, don't go there. Why? Why? Because you need that money to do responsible mining and reclamation. And every mining license has a reclamation portion of it. That reclamation portion, let the person put the money down. When you go and rent a house in New York or any sensible place, you put a security deposit down.
True.
If you are coming to rip up our land, put a reclamation bond down. What it means is, by the time you leave the place, we want to see the topsoil back and the green grass growing or the trees planted or whatever. You don't do it, we take your reclamation bond, we use it. This time, change it. What it means, Ocansey, is that nobody will try to do mining. Because if you try to do mining, you need $10 million down, and you need another $10 million as reclamation bond. Okay? I am saying we've been mining for 100 years.
True.
How does Johannesburg make it? How is it that we don't make it? It's because we are not applying things properly. So this issue of forfeiture can be done. If you are poisoning your land, it's easy. Take it from the chief. If the person is trying to go and do galamsey and they don't have money, which is what happens, they take a license, put it in their pockets, they go and find a Chinese person, come and rip it up. That's what is going on. So stop it and do some of these things. And I say these things because they are doable even today. I have confidence that if we want to do it, it can be done. I started by saying that somehow galamsey funds our politics and our politicians are very much in it. Because of that, they are very reticent. They don't want to do it. It has become an elite fight. The people will stop fighting galamsey. They will start benefiting from galamsey at their peril. Now we have to fight it. It's good that we've declared security zones. It's not enough. Let's move on and do the other things.
Well, and Oliver, you led a peaceful protest on the day that we were acknowledging the impact that Osafo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah has had on us as a country, to send a clear message about the fight against galamsey. Lamento, you reference, a number of you have referenced the pollution of our water bodies and then the destruction to our forest reserves. But then did you know that the air that we breathe as well is being impacted by galamsey? The food that we eat. Yes, this is a research by Pure Earth and the Environmental Protection Agency. They did quite a number of expansive research on soil testing in areas like Konongo-Zongo, Dumasi, Esiakwa. So they tested soil in Konongo. They found 13,000% more of mercury in the soil in parts of Konongo-Zongo, more than the allowable threshold. The same in the Esiakwa area, water had over 900% more mercury than what was allowed. In Wassa, Kanyankon, the air that was tested there had mercury vapor in there, and over 15,000 percentage points more than the allowable threshold. So we are being battered from every side because of galamsey. Now we have seen these security zones being declared. How effective will this be? Anything more that can be done to fight this? Oliver?
The question, one of the things I've been reflecting on, because I've seen the news, I saw the news about the declaration of the security zones. And perhaps a more legalistic approach is I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know by what instrument it was declared. If people are found within those zones, what is the legal consequences of that? Yeah. All of that, I don't know. Specifically what do you mean? If it is about a military strategy of not only reclaiming and leaving, but reclaiming and holding, then I know that, okay, what they mean by that is that we're going to station people there. And that's what we're calling security zone. Okay. But there's a difference, legally, in terms of what we want to do. So I don't know yet, so I don't want to speculate about that. And for me, I don't want to pick and choose in terms of, whether, okay, we sent 2,000 more or 3,000 more or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. My job and consistent thing that we want to keep doing is that the missing piece or the consistent piece that we must continue to bring into the conversation is how we mobilize ordinary folks to come and have this conversation. If Kofi says that the issue has been over-politicized, then we depoliticize it by ensuring that it is driven by civic people, right? Ordinary folks, whether in those communities, and I've been in several of those affected communities where we are holding trainings for community leaders about how they can take measures within those communities and drive self-help mechanisms. Those mechanisms are important for long-term resistance to whether or not there's an onslaught of politicians against the environment or whether or not there are certain individuals there against the environment. That is important to me. Right. But one of the things that I find the most curious is that we have one of the most expansive NIB of individuals who are working about in our system. Are we saying that none of them have been able to pick intelligence as to which folks within these communities are holding on and bringing in excavate? Like, we don't know anything. So that so far we are not seeing what we are calling the kingpins being put before court. Is that what we are saying? So that's for me is baffling.
Like the real financiers.
Yeah, like the financiers, we don't have no sense of how the money is moving about. Nothing.
We need recall laws on that.
So I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. So for me, it's okay. We can do this, but mind you, like in terms of the information you showed, the security zone has no implication on the soil quality, water quality, and all of that. Yeah. So what is the plan? Like, I've seen this consistently. I've seen the EPA put this out. I've seen the water folks complaining about this. So what is the plan? Mm-hmm. Like, we don't have any roadmap from the EPA as to this is what we are doing to clean up. I'm not seeing anything from the Forestry Commission. I'm not seeing anything from what's the name, the Minerals Commission. Mm-hmm. In terms of even this NCCE's role in the conversation, I haven't seen it. In terms of leading the public advocacy, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any data or any conversation from the Ghana Health Service, which is telling us that these are what we anticipate. Kofi Kor said people being born with 3 legs. This is what we anticipate in terms of the effects on humans, and this is how we are preparing for those. I don't know anything. So the fight has to be a bit more broader than boots on the ground at this point, because so much mess has already been done. So what is the plan? And also the process of depoliticizing the conversation as well is ensuring that the technocrats and institutions take the lead. But I'm not seeing that happen. So that for me is more concerning as to the sustainability, as to how integrated all of this is. This is not just champagne burning and soldiers fighting people approach. It's a more holistic and global fight that we need to be involved in.
You mentioned... no, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say something. That we need to be careful. I understand perfectly. I got arrested in the former administration over this very issue. That I understand that this problem that the government has inherited is bigger than the economic problem we have. I understand that.
The problem of galamsey.
Yes, the problem of galamsey that the government has inherited within the past 8 years and some of the excesses that we saw is bigger than the economic mess we are in. But the government needs to be very careful that at the end of the day, that the president, in how he fights this, he doesn't end up being called a galamsey president.
What do you mean?
Because he was not able to, within his term, to deal with it effectively. Our demand has been that we don't want to go into the next election with galamsey again on the ballot. If not, then we have made a mess of the term. So this is a big issue for the president's own legacy and for what he intends to achieve. Maybe it's not the hand he chose. Maybe he was hoping that something else would define his term. But this is the biggest crisis that the administration is facing. And it's important that even when voices like myself speak up, it is not suggested as if we are not aware of the things that have happened in the past. It's perhaps those of us who are most aware of what the president has to achieve and what is up against that ought to be listened to. We are consistently talking about this. So I have two main things. One, as a demand that the NDC commits that by the time they are electing their flag bearer, that we're no longer talking about galamsey. Give us an effective timeline. So that's one of the things I'm asking for. Two, that when we are going into the next polls, galamsey will go back to the traditional issues that have motivated Ghanaian voters, which is the corruption and the fight on oral. but that galamsey is not one of. It's not one of them. So that's for me is where I think the concession I would make here.
You mentioned sustainability of the fight. Now, with the measures that have been announced so far, do they tick the boxes, or does it tick the box of a sustained fight against galamsey? And not just one that because the campaign is high and the demand is high now, we put measures in place, we see some progress, we go back to bed, and then it gets worse.
I mean, my view is that demand ought to continue to be high. Because the only way in which you can keep what I call high energy politics is that as long as the sense of demand does not die down, politicians cannot sit easy in their chair. And so that's the only way. And that's why for me, the arm of, getting the public involved is important because we are the only ones who can secure for them not being, being able to act and continue to churn out measures. I mean, a few months ago, the minister cried on national TV. Wasn't that the point? Wasn't that the crisis point? So it's not about now. It's also about, okay, how much we're putting more pressure on the system to believe that, okay, there are certain benchmarks by which we must commit to. And if we have clear benchmarks or timelines, then what does that entail for us as a government to be able to deal with this?
And you at least some detail of this security zone must be given.
No, absolutely. I think that it must be given. What does it even mean for the EPA that there's a security zone in place? What does it mean? Are we suspending completely also forest entries? We're talking about the airline. I understand that the airline is going to be repealed.
Yes.
But for those who have been given licenses, are we going to tell them that stop working in those forest reserves? Like, are we revert? Like, what does it mean? Beyond the
reserve. Yeah, but clearly, if the LI has been repealed, then it would have
No,
implications.
not at all.
Yeah.
The repeal is forward-looking. There are those who have been given permits already in the past.
Yeah.
So prospective, because I have looked at the NDC manifesto, and what they were suggesting is that they're going to repeal the LI to prevent future. So almost conceding that those who have been given
They should clarify
in the past are going to remain. So these are things that we need to know. That's all my position
please,
on
look,
that.
clarify it. Number one, it was anomalous in the beginning to give license for somebody to enter a forest reserve. A place where you couldn't go to do normal stuff. So look, nobody should mine in the forest reserve or do anything there. So they should all get out. And then let's do the other things that we need to do. So yes, clarify it. But I was saying that the law is, Act 1030. All right. So there's a law there. And out of that is the basis upon which security zones are declared. Out of that flows a number of things. If the place is a security zone, you may not go there and do anything. Your freedoms over there are limited.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So then that's just a semblance of what a state of emergency would result in.
It's like,
but then again, not in full scale. But then
totally
the liberties,
different.
Liberties are curtailed.
Liberties are curtailed there,
You see, and you raised a little concern about the description of how ruthless the fight has to be, taking into consideration, the rights of people and so on. The minister himself in his disposition has been clear that this is a war for him.
It's a war.
Now, I want to take a listen to the minister when he toured the Ankobra River and he saw how polluted the river has been. And I'll come to you on the concern that you raised. Let's take a look at this.
The message to everybody engaged in any illegal activity along the Ankobra and major rivers is that we are coming after you. And we are not coming on a day visit and leaving. We are going to be here. There is no law in Ghana that allows anybody to mine or discharge water in any of the water bodies. So anybody that is seen engaged in this activity is a fair target. And we are warning you, stop it. Because the damage that this is causing our country cannot be paid. If this is not war, then I don't see anything. We need to mobilize all the forces we have. We need to put all the resources we have to deal with this crisis of our time. And it's very, very clear. The president's heart is in the right place when he directed that we need to deploy permanently the military and the security forces along our river bodies and the forest reserve. And that is what we are going to work with the Ministry of Finance and key sectors to deal with this issue.
Okay, gentlemen. Yes, no, Prof. Yeah, wait. Thank you. Now, Lamatic people, you heard the minister there. Says if this is not a war, then he doesn't know what else we can describe this because of the impact that galamsey is having on our lives in every aspect of our lives. So if the war is being fought ruthlessly, what exactly are the concerns, or what would you say should be the major considerations so as not to cross the line? In your words, that if we're going to be ruthless and deal with these illegal miners, as has been described, we must be concerned about their rights as well. Kazo.
Right. Good. Yeah. So, look, let's be clear. You know, I support the fight, okay, against galamsey. Let's be very clear about that. I mean, how many times haven't I repeated here that we are all paying a price, right? Yeah. I mean, just for the record, I lost my job because I dared to sue government over the Tiwa forest. That time, how many people are making, you know, now when the cat is away, the mouse, has a field day. People were so scared. When we started a fight against the Tiwa forest, people were like, no, government, I was sacked from my workplace because I was told that you can't fight government. Okay? I was told that you can't fight government, and I left. Went to a different law firm. Now, so the point is this, that when you are fighting, all right, yes, we must fight because there is a threat. But there are rules. When we say it's a war, it doesn't mean that we'll just send police there, then they shoot on sight. Anything they see, they shoot. That's what I'm saying, that let's be careful that the rhetoric doesn't encourage that. It will be ruthless, because the moment you just use the word ruthless, then it's as if the moment the police see anybody on a galamsey side, straight away shoot to kill. That's the thing I'm saying. No, let's be careful. We cannot do that. That's not what saying we are in a war means. Saying we are in a war,
so doesn't mean that. Do what?
So you arrest the person.
Hold on.
Now let me show you. So when you take, let me show you.
If they shoot back, you do what?
Very good. But what you're saying is different. You haven't said. If a galamsey is shooting at the police.
But that's what they are doing.
No,
they are attacking law enforcement.
Okay, hold on.
No,
gentlemen,
let's
I want to hear.
Let me help you. If they shoot, you can shoot back.
Yes,
Gentlemen,
that's not what.
If they shoot, you can shoot back.
Yes, when you said war, you didn't say that a galamsey was shooting at police, and then I said the police shouldn't shoot. No, that one is different. It's there in Article 13. Okay, and then the Criminal Offences Act 29. Today, you think if an armed robber jumps into your your house, or even if not your house, you are in your car, and then he comes towards you with a pistol or a knife or a stick, right? If you apprehend danger enough, the law allows you to retaliate. You don't have to wait for him to shoot first. If only you are very clear, he's taking a gun, he's about to shoot, and you are faster, you clear him. That's not what you
No,
say.
but you say, if you apprehend danger enough, you must be proactive.
Thank you.
But have they not posed danger to us?
Thank you.
No,
enough.
I think
you mean by poisoning the water?
I'm telling you, have they not posed danger enough to us?
Okay, no, that's not what the law allows you.
Let me hear what
Yes, so that is law. So that's why you have to allow us more time to educate on law, so that we don't go and do any illegal things, right? So your point is that because they've poisoned the water, then it means that if we see them, we should shoot. No, that's not it. The law doesn't allow. The law says when there is an immediate danger to your life. So the water, let's look, I'm not justifying galamsey, but what that means that, thankfully, it's not only one river body we have. I know the turbidity levels are different. Look, yesterday I also coincidentally called Professor Alidu who is now the Ali Duseidu, who is the new MP, about the turbidity levels. And he promised to send me. I'm sending him a reminder. But earlier on in the week, Sami Jemfi was on Joy FM where he read out some of the turbidity levels. So you find that in some of the waters, there's been a drastic improvement. And then in others, there's been a decline, all right? So the point I'm making is that in law, because the poison of the water does not lead to immediate, permit me, well, maybe if we want to write a new law, fine, but it doesn't look like it will fit in. We don't have only one river, this body. We have several, so many. So if some are polluted now, we can't say that the moment we see anybody at the galamsey side, we shoot to kill because the person is poisoned. For all you know, maybe the person is there on site seeing. Or he's gone there to call a brother or something. So let's rather arrest. Look, if you look in the police CI, they'll tell you that even when some suspect, okay, is trying to attack the police, you don't immediately shoot to kill. Or if it's possible, you shoot to immobilize. So you are looking for the lower part of the body. So if you can shoot the legs, okay, yes, even the police CI is there. If I knew, maybe next week I'll bring it out and we'll read.
Right.
It says you don't immediately shoot to kill. You know, this upper part where you can be, but you look for the down. If you shoot the limbs, okay, the legs, you immobilize the person. Don't kill. I've heard senior public officers say, oh, let's kill one or two. JJ killed a free fire. Fairly, let's name them 1979. Plenty. By the time JJ was leaving, how was corruption? Weren't there even allegations against JJ himself? Didn't he take money from Abacha? Didn't JJ take money from Abacha? So what I'm saying is that didn't JJ take money from Abacha? Later on, didn't he admit that he took the Abacha money? Right? So the point is that, please, let's use due process. If we get too emotional and want to say we'll kill, then we'll end up killing all of us, and then we'll see if you have any country. So let due process prevail. Even in war, I'm sure you've heard of the Geneva Convention. 4 conventions, and then the optional protocol. There are rules on armed conflict. Even the wars you see, it's not anything you kill. If the person is surrendering, you don't kill. So let's stop using the rhetoric on killing. Please, let's stop using the rhetoric. It's very important, because if we're not careful, the cure should not be bigger than the disease.
Thank you.
It will be ruthless.
Yes,
ruthless.
Like ruthless within the law, meaning that using the minister, look, he doesn't have power to set aside our law and say that anybody should shoot on sight. Is that what the minister is saying? No, he's using the word ruthless, should be understood within the context that he means we would prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. Didn't he say that, look, if they arrest any, excavators, etc., if you come there, they will not listen. Even if you come in the name of President Mahama, they will not listen. Those are the things he means by the ruthlessness. Not that we shoot to kill anybody on sight. No. True. There is no place like that. Okay. Unless the person is shooting at the police or the water guards. Yes, that one is fire for fire. But until you've seen that the man is attempting to, snuff out your own life, you don't shoot. You don't shoot. And to be very clear, listen, when you are defending yourself under the law, when you see the person, all you need is the imminent danger. He doesn't need to fire first before you fire a retaliation. If everything is very clear that he's about to shoot you, you can shoot first.
And proportionality.
Yes, there's proportionality, right? Yes, so let's be very clear. When we say the police will defend themselves, it doesn't mean that they have to wait for the bullet to come first. No, if the man is removed a gun, all right, he's about to shoot, and then unfortunately for him, maybe it's not shooting, the cock is messed up or something, and you think that in the next 1 or 2 moments, if he resolves it, he'll shoot you, you go ahead and shoot.
Right.
Right?
You see,
but that is different.
What should be, so you see, I think I just want us to put all of this back, sort of, what should be in terms of being ruthless to send the signal to the illegal miners?
Very good. Let's repeat.
What has to be done?
What has to be done is what is being said, and let me repeat. Number 1, with the arrest, there will be prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. Let's repeat this. Earlier you played the tape, maybe you can replay it, where the minister showed that in 8 months, they've arrested about 1,400. Yes. And that they are prosecuting them. Yeah. Then he gave us statistics that in the previous regime, in 3 years, they arrested 800 and something. Let's repeat.
Yeah.
He's saying 8 months, they've arrested 1,400 and are prosecuting, except that I didn't hear the number that are actually in court. So maybe the minister should come and clarify. Out of the 1,400...
So 8 months, they have arrested 1,400.
Excellent.
And within 3 years, in the previous regime, only 800.
Very good. And then he added that in the previous regime, that 800 they arrested, only 35 were being prosecuted. That's what the minister said. Maybe we should repeat it and see. So when he says will be ruthless, it means that 1,400 will go to court. Then we've mentioned the security zones. As I've said, for me, the key thing is that, look, whether you declare the place a security zone or not, the police and the water guards are allowed to go and stop galamsey. So if you're adding security zone, you see what Oliver said, that's the thing. Sometimes we'll jump onto terms. That's the same way we jumped onto state of emergency. State of emergency, then finally we saw that we didn't even understand what we were talking about. Now we've brought security zone. Let these experts come and educate us more. But in the meantime, the key thing is that security zone or no security zone, we are allowed to go in with the police and the water guards. And that's what we are doing now. And the media should have more visibility. You should have more visibility being embedded in the team so that you are constantly reporting. I think that will take us a long way. Then the court cases. Because the president in his speech 2 weeks ago said that they were creating special galamsey courts. That's not the first time. Under the previous government, those courts were created. I don't know what became of them. So if it's that they are being revamped or whatever. So let's have continuous reportage, more traction. Because like they say, sunshine is the best disinfectant, right? So maybe that's why let's just use the law. Let's use the law. We have no space in our body politic for what you call lawlessness. No, that's not what will solve the problem. Let's go within the law, because even in armed conflict, you have the Geneva Conventions. You see how you have to treat detainees, etc. We don't kill just anyhow.
Okay.
We don't
you understand the sentiments. No, I'll come to you. But you understand the sentiments because of the impact that galamsey is having on our lives.
Absolutely.
And that's why a ruthless measure in the scale of what Professor Jampo was suggesting is one that you think will resonate with some people because of the lackluster fight we have had over the period. If you say that prosecution is the way to go.
Not only that, I've combined that the police and the soldiers, prevention.
Because I say that that's what I'm arresting the thousands of people. We were here about 4 months ago.
Yes.
When the task force went in there,
or that town,
they couldn't arrest quite a lot of them.
Yes,
because they said over 6,000 people were involved in galamsey there. So they drove them away.
Excellent.
They drove them.
Prevention.
But these people are going to find another settlement to start what they are doing.
And to curb that, now we have what we call the permanent security presence.
Do we have enough legs for that?
So that is why I say it should be embedded so that journalists will report. Last week we made the point that there are millions of graduates at home looking for jobs. So let's employ more. Let's employ more. So that's why I say if you went in there and then you show that the water guards are not enough. And that one too, I heard the minister say that they are training more. So let's see the deficit. So that's why let's be scientific. It's all about scientific about it. We have no space for just killing people willy-nilly. We'll end up killing our own relations. Then we'll see that, oh, what have we done? So the ruthlessness, please, let's repeat. When the minister says we'll be ruthless or Professor Jampo says we'll be ruthless, what they mean is ruthlessness within law. It's not just killing people willy-nilly. No.
Martin, let me just say, you see, you do not want to create an impression as if you are watering down on the dangers of galamsey to humanity. I'm saying you want to be careful, because if you don't nuance your position well, you are talking about the idea of shooting to kill when there is an imminent danger. Okay, imminent danger. That's what you said. Yeah. Shooting to kill when there's an imminent danger.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that galamsey is not an imminent danger. It is an unequivocal danger and a threat to the existence and survival of humanity. You're talking about when it is imminent danger, we should shoot. But when it is a danger, imminent is something that is about. When a thing is, I can take the same view about corruption.
Exactly.
When it is killing the politicians, when it is killing them, she said that one we should be massaging
all the politicians.
No. You see, no. So my point
Corruption is
let me not lose my train of. You see, so my point is that, like you said, you and I, we've been here talking about this for long, and I don't like a situation where if you don't take care, suddenly people will be saying that, but this guy, he's been talking about it, that when it comes to real action, you are trying to. So you have to clarify the position well.
Imminent danger doesn't mean that you can kill anybody on sight. No law allows you. If you do that, actually,
I'm just saying, I understand what you're saying.
You see,
I understand what you're saying.
Hold on.
The need for us to go through the processes.
Yes,
okay,
due
I
process.
appreciate it. But I'm saying that if you tell me categorically that when there is an imminent danger, you should shoot to kill.
Yes.
And you cannot tell me that when the danger itself is not manifested, it's there, it has manifested.
Yeah, so
that one you should find another way of.
Thank you.
Prof, this is a classical case of what we say in law, that the life of the law has never been one of logic. Law is not logic.
Imminent danger, shoot to kill.
Yes.
When the danger is there, that one.
I need to bring finality to this matter, please. And it's in I think we in ending it, in being ruthless, guided by the law.
Okay.
Essentially, what should be done in the last?
Yeah, I'll go quickly. Just kind of the point I was making about the security zone, because and this is an important point for me, because Kofi had suggested about the Security and Intelligence Act. It doesn't offer that framework. So under the Act, you can declare what you call conflict areas. Conflict areas is areas of instability where you need to bring peace. So our security architecture can do those declarations. But when it comes to an idea of a security zone, it's not necessarily the same, because the definition of a conflict area doesn't necessarily apply to what we're dealing with the galamsey.
Right.
And we have a framework under the Emergency Powers Act, which is like pockets of state of emergency, which is perhaps what the security zone idea is suggesting to me, that we are declaring some pockets. If that's the case, then there's a framework by which we must go by. And that framework I haven't seen that happen. So that's what I'm asking for, that there's not a framework, because the consequential framework that must be put in place for us to see that.
Okay.
On that point.
So,
quick one.
We will settle the issues of the law, but clearly there's a law behind that. That's one. Number two, I think the banter between Prof and Martin is simple. There are rules of engagement in every situation. If you go to a galamsey site, there are presumptions in law or suppositions. If I find you on a mining site, I presume that you are a miner. But those presumptions are rebuttable, which is to say, maybe it is Prof going to fight a miner or going to sack a miner. So the fact that I find you there and I presume you are a miner does not mean I should shoot you, because I might end up shooting Prof, who is actually going to arrest a miner. So there are rules. Those rules, you sit down, you sort them out. Much as we want to solve those problems, we are not going to go into a situation where people act recklessly, and at the end of the day, you create more problems than you try to solve. So there are ways to do it. We are smart enough, we can do it. That's why we have a whole military, we have a whole security architecture. Let us sit down, deal with it. But it is definitely possible for a country like Ghana with people like us to figure out how we can secure this small land space called Ghana. And to that extent, we cannot claim that we don't know how to do it. Let's do it. The declaration of the security zones is good enough. I've said it's not, that alone is not enough. Let's move on to the other things and do it. Definitely, it should be possible to round up those people and put them away somewhere.
Indeed. And as I indicated, we're making meaning of what is captured in all of these statistics, because there are stories behind it. That's led us to our second issue for the morning. The third matter, if you see, this influences the response on the direction of the country. Is that
the direction of the country influences the first one.
The first one.
Yes.
So the direction of the country, we also saw a decline as well. Those who say that the country is heading in the right direction has declined.
Yes.
Right? Let's look at that. Let's walk us through it.
You know, if you look at the data right now, 2/3 are saying that we are headed in the right direction. And 20% are saying the wrong direction. But that is a decline from a high of 71% that was recorded in July. So people are a bit worried about what they may be seeing happening in the country, and that is causing them to kind of rate that number a bit lower than they have done so in the past.
So there's a decline we see for 5 percentage points.
Yes.
From 71 in July to 66 in September.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the denominators that you asked that influences the direction of the country is this question.
Yeah.
Is the government fighting corruption? And we saw a decline there as well.
Yes.
Let's walk us through that.
You know, usually you have people saying that, yes, he's doing well by what they hear, what they see in terms of prosecution, in terms of announcement of what is going on. I think they have not seen any of that in the past 90 days. They haven't seen anybody actually being charged, being taken to court, or more revelation about oral and that kind of thing. So they are saying that, why have they gone quiet on that? And also this issue of plea bargain. Remember the last month, there was an issue about plea bargain. And people are furious about this plea bargain. Why should these guys be able to steal money, big money, and then go and cut a deal, and then somebody else steals banana and plantain and goes to jail? So they are really angry about that. And if the government doesn't take care, this thing will blow up in their face. And people are showing their anger by showing a decline in their belief that they are doing enough in fighting corruption.
I see. That leads us to the next conversation about oral, because we have a member of the oral preparatory team with us seated here, Lawyer Martin Pebu. And in fact, in starting this, I've got a long list of messages from Professor Stephen Kwekwa. Sorry, good morning. Thank you. The previous conversation we had, you sent something on it, I'll read later. But this specific reference to what we're talking about now, he earlier asked Martin Pebu and Oliver should tell us how to fight galamsey vis-a-vis their human rights roles. I think that's something that you've answered that. Yeah. Then it also says reasons working against John Dramani Mahama. This is Professor Stephen Kwekwa. It says non-implementation of oral, which you just referenced. And then he goes on to say the non-removal of EC headship. That's another matter that we haven't touched on this morning. But on the matter of oral, and you say that sentiment is reflected in this response, as to the fact that people think that to the extent that we're only hearing the Attorney General give updates on fights, but not much in terms of getting people to jail if they have, as it were, dissipated state funds or stolen state funds. Then they think that the government is not doing enough to fight corruption. Oral, what is happening?
Yeah, the oral fight is on. Yeah, it's on with so much alacrity, right? I think it's a vigorous fight. You know, the Attorney General has done a number of press conferences where he's updated us, right? And then also you have the OSP handling some of the cases. And then Iyoko, Raymond Archer and Domilevo in charge there. They are also handling some of the cases. So let's start with Iyoko. You see Chairman Wuntumi. The president announced that the Wuntumi case will be going to court in October. That's next month. And that's key. And you know, even part of the Wuntumi case, Wuntumi has different set of cases. The tax evasion, etc., the Exim Bank money, the fraud, right? And also the Akunta mining issues. And we have been calling for Wuntumi's prosecution, endlessly. And so thankfully, next month, it will go to court. We'll see which ones. Are they both the Akunta mining side and then the Iyoko one, or whichever? We will see that. Then we have Abdul Hanan, the buffer stock company boss. Yes, his case has also, he was arrested. It's been dealt with, right? I'm sure that one will go to court soon. And so on and so forth. You come to OSP, they presented the Mustafa Hamid case involving about 280 million Ghana cedis. Mustafa will lie. The man who shed tears and eventually got ensnared in corruption himself, right? So will lie. It's also in court. And that's huge. It's huge. 280 million.
He's in court. It doesn't mean he's convicted.
Yeah, have we said he's convicted? If he's saying he's in court means that he's not been convicted.
I know, I'm just putting it.
But we are allowed to say that he came and was shedding crocodile tears.
I think it's worth saying that he's in court and
yes,
it has not been.
After shedding crocodile tears that they want to save this country, then he got ensnared.
Yes. So counsel, move on. He has not been convicted.
Right? So Mustafa Hamid and his colleagues are also in court, right? Other OSP cases. In all, over 200 of the previous government appointees have been arrested and cautioned. Yeah, the last time Fosukwachi was here, he mentioned 263.
And they had identified 263 prosecutable cases out of the over 2,000 that you presented in your report.
Yes.
So those are two
so
different
far.
things.
And so what we are saying, let's repeat. They're saying that the previous government appointees, over 200 of them, have been invited in. So when we say arrest, like we've been saying, you will touch the person and say, look, you're under arrest for so and so crime, this. Then the investigations will commence. So it's not the same as keeping them in detention for long periods. So please.
Arrest is not about handcuffing.
Yeah, it's one of the forms. So that one, you're confining him. So you put the handcuffs, etc. It's a form. Yeah, it can continue for long. But what we are saying is that it is as simple as, let's go over, it's as simple as you touch Musa Dankwa, touch wood. You are under arrest for so and so and so.
You have to touch him.
Yes, you have to. Yes, you have to touch him. You are under arrest for so and so and so. Then anything you say, then the Miranda rights, anything you say will be taken down, blah, 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 right? Then after that, they will take his statement. So even Napo, but Napo himself said it, that he had been to NIB, etc. He had been reporting.
Yes.
So there are a whole lot, over 200 of them. So there are various investigations at various ends. But if they are not yet done, they would not be able to put everything out. But trust me, the investigations are ongoing.
Would you say
They
that
are ongoing.
the constant updates by the Attorney General also influenced the level of expectation that people had?
But which is
because
positive.
if you're continuously putting out that this has been found, this person is has actually misappropriated state funds and so on, then prosecute them.
Yes, and by all means, that's what the Attorney General and the others are doing. But we all know that court cases take quite a while because of due process, once again. Unless the people go in and then they plead guilty. So let me show you a classical case that came to end early. One of the OSP cases, it had to do with the payroll corruption in the northern region. So if you check even the OSP site, please, you can Google. You see that I think 5 or so of the accused persons, when they went to court straight away, they pleaded guilty and were sentenced. So you see that in this year, OSP has their convictions going up because the accused persons accepted their responsibility.
Yeah.
But, a lot of the accused persons, the previous administration, they can, when people have seen a lot of money, they can engage lawyers to go and then drag things out. Don't forget, even the previous NDC officials who were before court. Some of them had been before the court for having 6-7 years. They were able to drag everything, and then JM came and then they did the nolle prosequas and withdrawals. So unfortunately, that is the thing. We hope that this time it doesn't turn out that way. We will prosecute and finish quickly so that citizens will get better confidence in the system. So please, yes, ORA is on. Now, the government knows that if they don't prosecute the ORA agenda well, they will go down. And so I have every confidence in the ability of the government to be able to take on the ORA cases. Prof, I like the point you made, that it means that there should be more reportage. Maybe Fosukwachi, if he's listening, I think he went with the president to the UN conference. Yeah, but hopefully if they are following, I'm sure there are other persons in government who are listening. So we need more reportage, more press conferences, because it's when you lay out the information to the citizenry, then they will know exactly where you are. Because the cases are many. There are many, and more are coming.
You had recommended that the Attorney General should look at passing on some of the cases to
bringing on more private practitioners. Yes, either they're engaging more of them, or like the US system, they would appoint some practitioners, private practitioners, and give them some of the cases.
There are plenty lawyers in the AG department, so I think.
But they are not enough. They are not enough. So we need
it's the largest law firm in Ghana, and they are well paid.
No, AG doesn't have enough lawyers. AG doesn't have enough lawyers. Oh, no,
they have more lawyers than any law firm.
Yes, there are more, but it's the whole country, so they are not enough. No. That thing is always it's a perennial problem.
Okay.
So they need to engage more lawyers, right, to be able to come and help.
They should give some of the business to Oliver's firm. Yeah. Give some to your firm.
And let's your move
firm
on.
Too. Me. Are you sure?
Because he's supporting Baumia.
Okay,
that's why he
well,
so he
then again.
Baumia.
Okay, so I want to you reference what the president said.
Yes.
in the update he gave about the oral cases when he met us journalists two weeks ago. This is it. And then I'll come to you, Mr. Bento. Take a look at this.
In terms of the oral investigations, I would have very conveniently said the General Secretary himself is here, and so I'll call him to present his evidence to the public. But I can assure you that there's no way anybody can interfere. I cannot be in people's mind to stop them from attempting to interfere, but I am responsible for making sure that that interference comes to naught. And so I closely monitor. I hold regular meetings with the Attorney General. He briefs me on the status of investigations. And so I'm confident that, the cases will go ahead based on their merits and that nobody would have the opportunity to interfere. If anybody goes lobbying people or paying people to interfere, they probably are just tricked.
Well, so that's the President, John Dramani Mahama there. A number of your messages, and we'll get into it. But you see, the concern, or if you monitor the sentiments that are captured in Musa Danquest's poll, it's about the speedy trial. People want to see that, to the extent that you are saying this person has done A, B, and C. If it's proven beyond reasonable doubt, then jail him.
Well, but proving it beyond reasonable doubt is not a quick thing. You see, the problem with politics and justice is that one can promise a lot of fast things, but the wheels of justice necessarily grind slow. So let me tell you frankly, oral was overhyped.
Oral was overhyped?
Oral was an overpromise. They came in, my brother, get there, as if they would jail people tomorrow. He was in people's yards and they were, this person has seized this land. And you see, when you criticize the justice delivery system like that, you end up where he has ended up. Look, he knows, because an expert in criminal law, the wheels of justice necessarily grind slowly. Okay? I think in our system, too slowly. But the point is that oral was overhyped and is under-delivering. It does not mean it has failed. And listen, I support oral. There are too many bandits in this country wearing political robes and robbing us blind on every side. And we must go after them. But please, be careful how you overhype it. Now, clearly, there is some good push in our economy. All right? The president is still enjoying a lot of goodwill. But Imani's polls, we've done some research. If you Google it, you'll find it. You will see that the sentiments are eroding, but it's very normal, very natural. You can't keep it up all the time. Okay? What we can do is find out why, what's going on, and that kind of thing. Ask me what's going on. The economy is doing well. The main reason why the economy is doing well is because the city is doing well. The main reason why the city is doing well is because we had 30 tons of gold from the previous government. All right? And we've sold about $3 billion of gold to hold up the city and shore up the economy. That gold is coming from galamsey. The galamsey is having problems here.
Well, all right? It hasn't been proven any.
Well, the gold is not coming from the main mining companies. It's coming from small scale and other miners.
Yes, so illegal miners. I think we need to distinguish that. Well, small scale miners are not illegal miners.
I'm telling you that the bulk of the gold is not coming from. So let's not argue that.
Data. Yes.
Okay. My point is that there are good things, but there are also some other things we need to watch. Is there a fight against corruption? Today, is there a fight against corruption? Let me tell you something. There is a certain level of political arrogance that comes from winning an election emphatically like the NDC won. And I've seen it happening. Maybe their friends won't tell them, but I've seen it. A certain confidence that is arriving out of the fact that there was such a huge margin and Ghanaians are happy. And look, even when the president went to the UN, people are just happy to be rid of the previous government. Okay? And they're happy that we have a president like President Mahama, who is a fine gentleman. And President Mahama, I said I believe, but he hasn't told me, is fighting back his hawks. Okay? Because some people want to do some things. I am not happy with the way they treated CJ Tokono. Not because I don't want her removed, I want her removed. It's the process. And you will see some of there's been a release coming out of that. And I think he's having to fight back his hawks. That is coming from that confidence that makes people believe that because of the nature of the margin and the kind of winning we have had, we can do almost anything. No, you can't do almost anything. There are a number of things in this economy which ultimately tell whether we are doing well or not. Water, health, energy, education, transport, and telecommunications. Now, when the chips are down and we go to do the analysis and Musa Damkwa goes to check, people are going to start checking with these things. Right now, we are in a bit of an euphoria because of all the things that have gone on. But at the end of the day, how are we doing with water? I told you the city is doing well. That affects everything. Okay, we're not doing well with water. Okay, it's just not coming up. All right, and galamsey is polluting the water. And we are not doing. One day it's going to come up when the euphoria settles down. How are we doing with health? When was the last time you had a good discussion on the National Health Insurance Scheme? A good discussion on it.
Kofi, just a second.
Prof,
Just a second.
you see,
Prof,
Kofi
is speaking all over the place. I want to be.
Prof, no,
you asked a specific question.
But
he's getting. So
I think the question had to do with oral.
He has got.
I think all over the place.
There are many things I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with the questions.
Because there's oral.
Right. I said oral is just one of the things. It's about generally the sentiments around now. And I'm saying oral was one of the big things. And you see, it excites people. People want to see the people who messed us up pay. And I'm saying, much as that excitement was there was an over-promising in oral. And now we are realizing the effects that, look, you can't just catch people and jail them. And so people are feeling like it's slow. All right? It's not really slow. It's the way the system works.
But the Attorney General himself has indicated that he knows that proving guilt in criminality is not a walk in the park.
Yes, exactly.
But then again, you juxtapose that position of how slow the system is to the expectations of the people.
And I'm saying that expectation was because of the nature of the promises that were made. So I'm saying when you politicize the justice delivery arrangement,
all loose.
Yes.
What
let's just be
careful.
Okay, hold on.
So let's just be careful.
Hold on.
Recover all loose.
Gentlemen, let me say this. Hold on.
Okay. Let's just be careful about that.
If one person is speaking, I would ask that.
Now,
hold on, gentlemen. If you want to make an intervention, let me know. I would always acknowledge that, but let's not obstruct the flow of others.
Let me go on. Yes. Now, so much as oral is going slower than people wanted, expected, or hoped, you have a situation where there has been a whole load of nolli prosequis. Okay, existing prosecutions that were ongoing, which have been stopped, for good or for bad. I'm not making a value judgment on that, but that's what the people are seeing. Our people are getting off the hook, and other people now are being thrown into the system. Okay, then again, do not make light of the nature or the way that CJ Tokono has been treated. Okay, we can't say she's a popular person, all right, because she has been attached to the previous government. All right, so there's a certain sentiment that 707070 remove her. But I'm telling you, sober-minded people worry about the process.
Okay, that's the next conversation.
I'm making a point about, you see, your question was about, a generality. So I'm saying that generally, you move from a very high position, but these are the things that are eating down, the kind of popularity that the government started with. And I wish them well. I think generally, it's a pass mark. But these are some of the things that are weighing them down, as we have found in Imani, and as people like Musa Danko and Co. also have found.
Could anything have been done differently about the oral fight than what we are seeing now? Because there was a specific promise: recover all loot.
My point is this: I support oral, but oral cannot be as fast as it was promised. So the problem is in the nature of the promise and the expectations that were created. And I'm saying the politicians in future, both NPP and NDC, should be careful how they promise swift, justice. Because justice is not necessarily that swift if it has to be done properly.
Oliver, was there any issue with the nature of the promise of oral?
I think that oral is in fact under hype. I think that
under hype.
Yes. I think that this ability to save the Fourth Republic from the path that we are on, we haven't sufficiently understood and communicated that well to the people. Now, a lot of the times when we're having the conversation, it seems that our attention about oral is driven, and we talk about Attorney General, on the prosecution. But the investigative work is what we haven't sufficiently talked about. Our capacity to be able to unravel white-collar crime, financial transfers into jurisdictions like Barbados and others, by folks. We haven't been able to unravel that. I haven't seen an audit of all state institutions, MMDAs, all of them, to show procurements that were made in terms of we know whether we went through the proper procurement channels, whether we had value for money for all of them. I do not believe, and I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I've been a civil servant before, and I know that every value chain of every expenditure of government, right down to the caterer who is bringing food here, there are corruption across the entire value chain. So we have a bigger problem that is so ingrained in our system as a people that it is not, let us not make less of how, everywhere you turn, corruption is there. Even in terms of the prosecution process, I have clients where prosecutors will tell them, I need to file a paper for you. Come and pay 1,500 cedis. When you don't pay in terms of filing cases and criminal cases. So every aspect of our society is so engulfed in corruption that we cannot belittle it. That has no saying as to whether or not I am particularly pleased as to the state of where we are in terms of where oral is. It is not just, again, the Attorney General focus is not just about we have to take people through due process. It is about the extent of seeing, okay, what is the investigative capacity that has been increased vis-a-vis oral? What is the investment that have been made in connection with prosecutorial capacity vis-a-vis how we fight with oral? What is the law reform that we have brought? Kofi was talking earlier about RICO laws and racketeering and all of that, and be able to recognize organized crime. What legal tools have we brought in place? What is the lifestyle audit law and framework for how we do that? All of these things have not been put in place. When we're talking about even the court systems, I have been in court, and in so many cases I am defending, where you go before a judge, you take one witness for 1 hour. They say that the next time you come back is in a month for another 1 hour. 3 months. Then you're telling me that you're going to bring all these cases. Forget the 1,400 that have been arrested for galamsey.
Yeah.
You're bringing them into the same existing court structure without any increase in the capacity of the courts to be able to handle that. So there's the infrastructure of oral that I think is still missing for me, that hasn't been fully fleshed out. It's not about the number of cases. So I have not seen that administrative build-up that reinforces and reassures that capacity is being dealt with. The questions about, the previous administration and folks who were being prosecuted, and then they use technical delays to be able to frustrate the process for 8 years. We knew this before we got into, before the government got into power. So what has been done differently? So if you're coming to prosecute all these things, and I don't doubt your commitment and I don't doubt your understanding that we have lost so much on corruption. But then when I see that in terms of the infrastructure of our justice system, it hasn't changed in any way, then I'm doubtful whether or not you sufficiently understand the problem or you're just being naive. So for me, there's an element of naivete or that you're not resourced enough. So perhaps that's the question. It is.
I think you've agreed with me.
No, that's for me.
We
So it's not about
the system
so
for
I think-
speedy justice
yes.
delivery.
So the bulk of the work around oral has to be that system.
Yes.
And I have expressed disappointment with the preparatory committee.
I agree with me.
The reason why I was disagreeing with I like the idea of putting in place a preparatory committee. I had assumed that their mandate would be dealing with those questions of institutional, legislative reform ideas about how, these are all the problems that will haunt the process. How do you deal with it? It then became a letterbox for people to bring their complaints to. So the value of what the preparatory committee should have been doing is all the roadblocks that were going to challenge oral in the way forward. And how then do we make proposals and hit the ground running to reform the infrastructure of our criminal justice system to allow for more speed in terms of what people want to see.
So you want to...
Sorry, a final point first.
Right.
I do not take away the fact that the fact of legal vacation in itself would influence people's perception as to whether or not there's heat on oral. Was the fact that the court can, up and leave from the end of July and come back in October, meaning that people are not going to see anything within that time stretch. And so when the poll is being done within that time stretch, obviously the sentiment is that, what is now happening? Because everything seems to have died down in terms of the conversation. But if there was investigative capacity, and we are seeing the number of people within the time the courts are on vacation, being arrested, being brought before, new charges being prepared and filed, throughout all this process, then we'll then be like, even when the courts are not there, we are seeing a lot of momentum around this. So I still think there's time to go back to the drawing board in terms of the capacity we need to put in place, the diagnosis we need to make. I hope that we have an emergency conversation and dialogue within the security institutions and the prosecutorial agencies, and even in terms of civil society, in terms of this this is the new approach. This is the strategy. This is how we're going to reform law around these things. The conversations around, the parameters around recovery, non-prosecution-based recoveries. What is the conversation point around those? Was the first time it was brought into the public, the government lost credibility around the before matter. So before you get into that kind of conversation, you need to be able to workshop some of these ideas in terms of this is what we are thinking, this is what the difficulties around are going to be, this is where we are going to be able to offer people deals, these are the people we are hoping that will testify against others. All of that infrastructure has not been revealed. All I see is business as usual. I don't see anything in terms of how the administration of justice is being done, which is different from the Godfrey Dami years and now. Nothing has changed infrastructure-wise.
See, and you use the word deals, and we did our own small survey. People's understanding of the deals alone is different from what the law definition of deals is. Maybe you probably use for.
No, I think so. I think so as well. I mean, to be fair, and I must say that Fiavin's point as well was carried and then also kind of made people apprehensive. Already we are very apprehensive when politicians promise us that they are going to prosecute each other. So we already come a historical, skepticism that in fact they are not going to scratch each other's back. So you already have to build with that confidence gap that the people have in terms of the alacrity with which politicians will deal with themselves, and that you know that you have to throughout all of this. The only thing that can make oral successful is building public trust and gaining a mandate from the street, that people are eager about it, people are believing in it. Even that influences the court's attitude to it. Because if the courts see, a strong drive towards something, they align with the executive 98% of the time. But then if it seems that, things are becoming lax, well, they don't treat it themselves with any particular sense of urgency.
So the expectation would have been, and Prof, I'll come to you briefly, the expectation was that instead of starting with the oral prosecution, there should have been addressing the problems,
structural
challenges within the justice delivery system.
I think so as well. I think so as well, that within the justice delivery system having been dealt with. And also we have to have a number of measures. Listen, one of the mistakes we make as a people is that we look back on the PNDC years, we look back on the AFRC years, as if there's nothing to learn from. Some of the most innovative legal instruments, laws that were passed within those systems, those eras, are things that we should have learned from in terms of how we deal with oral. There are parts of it that we should have considered, okay, which aspects of this would be good for commissions of inquiry which are televised? Because oral is also about attitudinal change and societal ethic. That if people are seeing in terms of commissions of inquiries that are televised, if I was president, I would put oral on display on national television. The people should see how much loot that we are talking about. The people should see the kind of mess we are talking about across several industries, complemented with the investigations that have been done, complemented with the prosecutions, complemented with the number of private practitioners we are bringing on board, the special counsels we are appointing, like, Martin was suggesting about that appointed, that you're sorry to lead investigations in terms of this particular deal or that. So if there was seriousness and we saw this as an existential crisis, our approach to it would determine how we deal with it, I would say. Prof.
No, you see, I was a bit worried. My senior Kofi Bento was saying so many things. Some of them that I
think he landed on the point.
Imponderable objections to them, but he said plenty things. So then I forgot. But I want to say that it is unfair to say a promise to recover all loot without giving a periodization to the promise. Overhypes that promise. I think that in the lead up to the 2024 elections, we had all seen the extent to which lootings have gone on. And there was a promise that should power be won, these loots will be recovered. And there was no periodization. It was not one of those promises that the president said, in 100 days, I'm going to recover all loots. So I want to believe, and we all are reasonable people, we know that the president was minded about the fact that in trying to recover all these loots within the practice of a democracy, you are not just going there to be just seizing people's, stuffs. You are going to resort to the law and legal processes, which we all know that the processes are problematic. We know that the processes are problematic. And so rather than appreciating or interrogating the status quo with regards to the problematic processes. We are using the problematic processes to criticize the great promise whose implementation is ongoing. I think it is unfair. We should rather call out the sometimes deliberate delays within the processes. Nobody here, your boss here, will not allow all the entire staff in media general to go on leave. Why do we have a process that allows all judges and all lawyers to go on leave at a go?
Some courts are working.
No. Some courts are working. But emergency. But generally, a preponderant majority of you guys are on leave. So how can, why, no, all these
I think some education will
Let me make the point. Let me make the point so they all come in. Let me make the point. I mean, I kept quiet. You like
Prof,
you've gone and paid bribe to me.
But there's a point of correction.
Yes, you correct. That's so my point is that we have a certain legal system that allows all lawyers and judges to go on leave, or a preponderant majority of them to go on leave at a go. And this fits into the delays, in our legal processes. And so my point is, it is up to us not to accept the delays and status quo as norm. Oh, that is how it is. As the axis of justice delivery system grinds slowly. And that's what we all say, without also appreciating the fact that sometimes justice delayed will be justice denied. Okay, so rather than saying oral was is an overhyped promise, I would want us to appreciate or to tell Ghanaians that, look, it was a good promise, but its implementation has been slow because of the problematic legal processes we have, as a people. And then let's begin to interrogate the legal processes and the delays, the attendant delays. Let's interrogate and make recommendations, for reform. Because like you rightly said, it's like we have not learned from how things were done in the past. I think that we must be interrogating or questioning the status quo, especially the ones that border on delay. But for me, so long as the oral processes are going on, I think we are fine. And it is important that, as I indicated earlier, with respect to Martin, it is important that we always communicate and tell the people what is being done in the drive to recover all routes. It is important that we let the people, we carry them on board. It is when we are carrying them on and we are letting them understand what is being done, and it is when we are letting them appreciate the fact that the government means well, but there are delays. Like you said, you go and speak for 30 seconds and then they adjourn the case for 3 months, and you go and speak for another 1 minute, they adjourn for. It is important that you carry Ghanaian, you feed all this information to the good people of Ghana, so that when they also begin to mount pressure, it shapes the conduct of judges. When the judges know that the people are now being intolerant of our delays, some of the delays, you guys are all lawyers, apart from me and my Medina Lotto forecaster.
He said now he's no longer a Lotto forecaster.
Lotto forecaster in quote. Apart from, you are all lawyers, and you know that sometimes some of the delays are deliberately occasioned. You know it.
Yes.
So please, I would favor every move at recovering the roots of Ghana. And if there are delays, and the delays are creating an impression as if nothing is being done, it is important that we feed what is practically happening, into the public domain, so that we'll be able to allow the public to also own the processes, and where they think that there are inordinate delays, they also bring a certain pressure to bear on the system. It is only when we begin to put that kind of pressure on the system that will force people from shying away from some of the sources of delays. And this is what I want to say about that. Now, I am open to your education about the leave. You are all going on leave at the same time.
Okay.
Who does that?
Yeah, so the thing is that this practice is over a century Yes,
It's a colonial relic.
Yeah, it's a
and
colonial
it needs to
relic.
go.
And
It needs to
it
go.
must go. We must
needs to
interrogate
go.
and challenge it.
It
Martin.
serves a very useful purpose. Look, the stress of legal practice. When you mean practice, Monday to Friday, you are in court.
Doctors have stress too.
Everybody is stressed.
Everybody is stressed.
Yeah,
So
it is
stagger it.
stressed.
Can't we organize it? Okay, today this section they are on vacation. Martin, I'm gonna see you.
Everybody should go on leave.
I'm gonna see
That's
we,
all.
we all
30
go.
days.
But people they bring their leave, and then you tell them, no, you people go. The three of you, you can go, and then let this one remain. And then the next time these ones will go. Can't we manage it? Can't we manage it such that?
Okay,
So let's do this.
please, just a
All over
minute.
the world,
The actual correction hasn't come. The correction is this: not the whole legal system goes on leave. Circuit courts are working. I've been in court this week. All right, there are online courts. They are working, and there are emergency judges. They are working. But the fundamental point remains that the justice system goes on break for a certain number of months every year, and that's anomalous. It's a colonial relic that allowed the foreign judges to travel back to the UK and come. We are continuing, it doesn't make sense. So, no, we are not saying we shouldn't go on leave.
No, he's
But
telling
we
you
are
the
saying,
historical antecedent.
no. He says we are tired and everything. I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
I'm saying it doesn't make sense for, like he's saying, for most of the system to just shut down, okay, and everybody goes. So I'm saying, let us kind of stagger it, have an arrangement where it runs. Because look, like you're saying, I go to court. Last week, I was in 2-3 different courts. You speak for, let's say, an hour or two. It's adjourned for 4 months. We are in next year, as we speak. The court calendars are in next year. I got a date in March of next year. All right? So look, there's such a backlog that it doesn't make sense for us to be continuing what was a colonial relic. We need to re-engineer the thing.
We need
24-hour courts.
So what happens
we don't
is
need
that
24-hour
in the
courts.
UK,
Absolutely.
in the UK, the US, and
24-hour
other Western
courts.
countries, it's there. They still have it. They still have it, and it's for a good purpose. As I said, look, from experience, don't touch the vacation. What we need to do, it serves a very useful purpose. I mean, come on, you go to court, you get tired. The stress is unimaginable.
Engineers get tired.
So what we do now, ours is different. Ours is good to sleep within the problem.
No, but
you want to. So see, the divergent views
Don't
are
say that. No, Martin, don't say that.
It's okay.
We all go to sleep with our problems.
Okay, thank you.
I am
let me end
told.
this.
So you-
I speak in my sleep, and I'm always talking about what.
Oh my God. So let me end this way quickly. So the thing is that, yes, let's deal with the backlog. Okay, that's where the challenge is. Yes, the courts here, a lot of the courts here are choked. So we need to employ more judges. That's the problem. We need to employ more judges, especially in Accra.
You should become a judge.
Oh, no, who will make the noise here? That's the thing. I've thought about it, but I think we need more noise here. Oliver and etc. We need to stay here. Of course, someday, why not? When I've left for about maybe 10 years to retire, by all means, I can look at it. But now we need more people to hold government to account here. You say, so if we employ more judges, then they will be able to take some of the backlogs. Then we can have speedy justice, because just as you said,
And modernizing the legal system.
excellent. When you go into the court system, the rate at which the
Transcription
typist-
software.
yes, exactly. You go to the UK,
Transcription software.
the court is in session, and you know that even part of the transcription software, it goes to Barbados. Can you imagine?
The next day you
outside
have
the UK. So you have a court system in the UK, they are talking, and somebody's in Barbados, the Caribbean, working, trying to produce a transcript, etc. And we are here, you know, the fast track system, we tried it. There were these recorders, then eventually they got out of fashion. Long story short, now we don't have any more recorders. So we need a modern justice system.
We don't have fast track court again.
Oh, now all the courts have become fast track.
They are slow courts. Listen, you say one thing, it
Then
takes
final point, Oliver.
30 minutes to make your point.
Chief
Someone is
Justice, listen, Bafubody was come. Bafubody, Chief Justice, we beg you, is that we need reforms in the bailiff system. Right? There are not enough bailiffs. The bailiffs are too few.
electronic service process.
Electronic services.
Employ
Use
more
email.
people, millions of graduates home. Let's pay for that extra. Or you
Martin,
the thing is,
let me tell
gentlemen,
you an
you see-
experience. I mean, some students took the university to court, and I think I happened to be there to witness the process. The lawyer was talking And this was, he was dictating
Yes.
to somebody to
That's
be
our
typing.
fast track court.
He was dictating.
Yes.
He was dictating what he wanted
Yes.
to say.
Yes.
Yes.
And I couldn't stand
It
that.
messes
Yes.
with your mind badly.
Yes.
And you say that we can,
We will
in
remove
spite of all these things, we should, oral should go quickly.
So knowing that, you should have been careful to make that.
okay.
No.
Gentlemen,
I mean, the process, the point
thank
is
you.
that we must recover every loot.
Yeah.
And that cannot
Nobody's
be,
arguing with that.
That cannot be anything, any promise that you can
Nobody is.
describe
So
as-
I think he indicated quite clearly that he supports oral.
Yes.
It is the how that probably
The
is
system
where
is
the,
not.
so it is the inefficiencies in the judicial system that is
undermining,
impacting the delivery, the speedy delivery of the expectations of oral. That's another issue that will have to be dealt with. But, you know, a number of you are sending messages about the lamentations of the lawyers about the legal system. This is what happens when you have a lot of lawyers at the table. They'll talk about their problems and what has to be done to improve the system, which is to the good of all of us. It's actually to the greater good, because in the end, if the systems are improved in judicial delivery systems in this country, it goes to the good of all of us. Mr. Nakwa is going to leave us at this point, because the stories behind the data you put out is quite clear, because then you're able to deduce why the sentiments are declining about the government's commitment to fighting corruption, because people say they don't see so much action about oral. But now we have an understanding of why that could be the case and what could be happening in the few months ahead of us. The president did give an indication of the oral cases and what is going to be done in the next few weeks. When is the legal vacation over?
So it's about 9th, the first Monday after the first Friday of October.
Okay, so that's
Second week of October.
Look at all this.
Second week of October.
just said that it was for foreign judges to go and visit their families and so come back.
UK, so the US, so that many other countries
Yeah,
go
but,
to.
Thank you. This is what the president said about what's going to be happening when the legal vacation is over on the oral cases. Let's take a look at this.
That's what I'm
Yeah, with regards to oral. Send out kind of MPP address some of the Shishabi by IMRA say a binding would di FA case be home say Ebia Wafesika na Bibia or Aquina Ubetimiaka say you any abine case na mode kwedua mode bomeno me san de sika na se agudie bia na se bibia mode bom kwedu no me san de aba se ne be ya momfa me nkoto how do they call imprisonment efiase momfa me nkoto efiase enti ayemra eda ho enti obi a yabo no kwedu bia ewo tumi se obeka se you ene yentwa so na memfa seimra na yenjai sa eyuno enti eno enye aban ena ebeka eye nipa ye de na kugina court and so se oka se o munjai asem no mu na memfa seimra na se agudie bia me fa ye memfa famra na se japadie bia me fa ye memfa famra na.
That's the president talking. Also, a question about the plea bargain, which you describe as the deal, which obviously got some reactions. Quite a number of your messages. This one here says, "Good morning." It says, so if the courts are that slow, as all your lawyers at the table are saying, how come Apenyomakin got speedy judgment same day? You want to answer that?
These are some of the issues that came up during the removal of the Chief Justice. So I can't comment since I was one of the lawyers involved.
For me, it simply means that if the courts want to be, they can be faster.
Right.
Right. There are institutional strictures, hard areas. And the question is, why should somebody jump the line? I mean, in the Demolovo case we both were in, it stayed there till the matter was moot. Okay, and I think that was deliberate. So when they want to, they can be faster.
So the courts can be deliberately slow And they can be deliberately fast as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
one you
Yeah,
can't
but it
run
doesn't
away
discount the structural problems.
Yes.
You know? It's just a jumping of the queue for some cases.
Yes.
But yeah, the structural problems still persist.
from. Good. You remember the cases where judges say they will sit a day on
Day and
daily
night,
basis?
yes.
Remember the Refocusing case?
Yes.
Yeah, the judge said we'll sit daily, but and eventually I see that she was able to finish in good time when this government, I mean the new administration. Then you remember the NAM1 case, and then which other? There was another case that it was said that they would do on daily basis. That one, the public very happy about it. Is it a Refocusing case or something? Which one? Judicial. But yeah, that's the one we're not happy about, right? Yes, because we're now pointing figures that why were they not doing that in other cases? Yes, they were
But
being
clearly,
selected.
it cannot be done for other cases. They'll burn out.
Right.
So that kind of thing cannot go on all the time. But there are some structural problems that can be solved. For instance, today we have, even on your phone, sufficiently good transcription software. Okay? About 7 years ago, I and some guys who are involved in business process outsourcing proposed a system by which people will transcribe, and in 24 hours you will have the court report. Okay? Of course, it takes time for some of these things to catch up, but I'm saying that it is possible for us to stop this practice of lawyers having to dictate, to somebody typing. Okay, it even messes with your mind. So those can be dealt with, and that will be the challenge of whoever becomes Chief Justice, the new Chief Justice that is coming on. We can modernize the courts and reduce some of these
And
delays.
talking about the new Chief Justice, that's the next issue, because then it dovetails into the kinds of changes happening in the judiciary as we speak. Earlier in the week, the President, John Dramani Mahama, nominated the acting Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafoboni, as the country's next Chief Justice. The President has written to the Council of State seeking its advice on his choice of Justice Bafoboni to lead the judiciary as substantive Chief Justice, as expected and enshrined in the constitutional provisions that the President will have to follow. He obviously will have to go through approval and so on. But he's been acting as Chief Justice since the latter part of April till now. And now he has been nominated for the substantive Chief Justice with the wealth of experience that he comes in with. At a time that the judiciary finds itself now, and all the issues that you have outlined, Justice Paul Bafoboni, the man for the job, you say?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We did this interview earlier in the week, and I said he's a man for the job because, and I'm sure Prof had earlier on made the point, I think some months ago, about seniority, right? So on the Supreme Court bench, Bafoboni is the most senior. Even though Justice Amadou Tanko is senior at the bar, that's Amadou Tanko, and I think Mensa Bonsu. Yeah, they were called, yes. But in terms of the Supreme Court bench, Bafoboni is far senior to them because they came, was it sometime 2018 or 19, thereabout. Yeah, but Bafoboni has been on the bench from 1996 or 97. Oh. Yes. 96. Yeah, he started in the Circuit Court. Then the year 2000, Rollins appointed him to the High Court. Then 2006, Kufuor brought him to Court of Appeal. Then 2008, he made it to the Supreme Court, right? So I say that because he's the senior most, it's okay that it goes to him. And then more exciting is the fact that this is a Kufuor appointee to the Supreme Court. And we all know we don't want to play ostrich with it. To get to the Supreme Court, you don't write an exams. It's political connection. That's the first thing.
Oh, it's competence. It's competence.
I know that's taking.
Do you put competence over whatever connection you talk about?
So first of all, it's political connection.
It's political connection. That's what competence.
You are hoping that the president. Every appointment that is made by politicians, you are hoping that the president is competent. Please. But the criteria is that you have to be appointed.
I don't think that it will even be fair to the people.
This is the process we have designed.
Wait.
This is not a bad commentary on the people. The process we have designed is that you have to catch the eye of the executive. That's it. So if you're talking about reform, we can reform it, but that's it.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not saying it doesn't play a role. do you put competent or political connection over competence? So-called.
Everybody
The
appointed
connections
is
that you talk about.
Everybody is competent. So you see, the problem is that when I'm communicating, we are very little. I don't know, maybe in a minute you'll stop me. So I go straight for the jugular, the most important thing. Because if I go and start from competence, integrity, by the time I'm coming to the most essential one, then you say no.
The perils of.
So I'm going for the most important. When I finish that and you give me more time, then I can go for the constant. So the constant is that he's been when I said he's been a judge since 1997, blah blah. I read all that. It's presumed that he's competent. That's why he's been there. If he wasn't competent, you'd have been removed a long time ago. So I won't waste any more time on the word competence. You see, so I go straight for the jugular. That is political connection. So the thing is that. So he had enough political connection for Kufuor to take him to the Supreme Court, and that's 2008, right?
Yeah.
Now. How many years on? Almost 16 years on. President Mahama is making him Chief Justice. So the point I want to say is that political connection with Kufuor means that he subscribes to the MPP ideology and philosophy. So for President Mahama to overlook Justice Puaman, who is Mahama's own appointee, it tells you that we've made a huge stride forward. It's huge progress because usually every president will want to appoint people who belong to their political persuasion. I mean the ideology. You see, the ideology, the philosophy. So to see that Justice Puaman is on the Supreme Court bench, yet President Mahama went for Bafuboni, I think that yes, we should commend President Mahama for it. He didn't just say that, I'll look at my own appointee and give him the job. No. Says Bafuboni, yes, you are Kufuor appointee, but you have the job because you are competent, you have this is the requisite integrity, etc. And most especially let's put another reason I'm excited that Bafuboni is made it is that during the Kufuor time, Kufuor ostracized and hounded Bafuboni ad nauseam, day in day out. Bafuboni, they wanted him to resign. From what I've heard from certain sources, they wanted him to resign. Godfrey Dami was sent to go and broker a deal.
The sources told you that?
Yes. And I've said it a number of times here. If it was false, I'm sure it would have taken me on. They were hounding him out of office because Bafuboni had the temerity to vote against Akufo-Addo in the election 2012 petition. Okay. The matter of the presiding officers who didn't sign the
signature.
If Bafuboni had voted for Akufo-Addo, then it would have thrown the elections into a second round because all those constituencies, etc., they were to be nullified. You see, but because Bafuboni didn't vote for Akufo-Addo on the bench at that time, when Akufo-Addo took office, Akufo-Addo never forgave Bafuboni for it. So they gave him hell. It was pathetic. Even Jubilee House, for most part, was a no-go area. He wasn't welcome to the Jubilee House, etc. It was so horrible. Why do you think Akufo-Addo got that name, Nebuchadnezzar, etc.?
Is that to say that even though seniority is a big consideration at the bench, other elements could still water down that particular consideration of seniority?
Oh, absolutely.
A person can appoint anybody.
Anybody, just like, so let's go to Justice Tokono. At the time she was appointed, she had at least not less than 7 seniors ahead of her. I think some people say 11. But I'm just, I think I've heard 11. So Bafuboni is senior to her, right? On the Supreme Court bench. Puaman, Tanku, there's Avril Johnson,
Mariama,
Doji, of course, they have since retired, etc. There were a lot of seniors ahead of her, but she got the nod. Okay, so it's you won't find a straight textbook on it. It's a lot of horse trading, negotiations here and there, but key among them, usually, presidents are looking for loyalty. They want to go to bed, a peace, or they sleep soundly knowing that if a case comes to the Supreme Court, they will win. You know how politicians are. They don't want to be saddled with Supreme Court losses here and there. They like to win. You see how the Domlevo case, when we sued, Kofi Bettel and I, we sued on behalf of CDD, etc., ASEP and all the One Ghana movement, etc. You see how the case delayed. It delayed because
we were winning.
Yes. You see, even though at a point we also contributed, there was fatigue, this up and down, at a point we also were tired, but bottom line, when the key things are if the court wants to move, it will move. If you don't bring your issues, the court can sit there and say, look, these are the issues we've identified. We are going ahead with judgment. You remember, when you want to see the speed, Oliver and Kofi is here, you were a lawyer in the Ashen, what's his full name? The Pink Sheet case.
Yes,
that they send you into their own offices one day that produce the issues and then let's adjourn for judgment.
They reconstituted the court in a different room. The justices went and sat there. They summoned the lawyers. They put us in a room to rewrite and amend the LI.
So the
reason why Pink Sheets today had the main that case, and credit to my senior Shishi for him, you know. And when the court wanted to take action, in fact, the Supreme Court chamber was under renovation or something. They moved it into a different place. They finished the case. They ordered us into a room. We sat there for hours, redid that rule, came back and adopted it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had Pink Sheets. That election was going to go some other way. So if they want to do it, they will do it.
Yes, so that's the point. So that's to buttress the point that when the court wants to move swiftly, they do it. But sometimes when strategic reasons...
When they want to find excuses to delay too.
You say, yeah, so that's the point. So with all of this, I think that the appointment is good. But everybody is learned, from the 97, there about 96 as a circuit court judge. So it means that he's gone through, apart from the district court, meaning that he's gone through all the courts, circuit court to high court to court of appeal to Supreme Court. So hopefully that would show in his administration. And you see how earlier 2 days ago, he met the Law Society of Ghana, the other umbrella group. And it's good. It's good that we're going to have a second bar association. Yeah, I welcome it. And it's good Bakuboni met them and told them, look, go through the law and be recognized. Because we don't want one bar association which will be hijacked by one political party.
Well, that's the point. Other side at the Supreme Court on this matter.
No, he said they should go through.
No, he's adding commentary.
I said that we don't want one bar association which has been hijacked by one political party.
You said.
And it's being used against the other political party. So when there are two, we'll get plurality of voice.
Well, I think the distinction is important.
Yes, it's important so that people don't think he said it.
It will be ridiculous. He can't
say
that.
No, you never know. That's why the distinction is important.
Okay, no, he couldn't have said that. Hey, you create trouble.
You see, because Oliver and Lama people are on the same tangent about this connection, as you call it, are there not enough measures in place to ensure that even if you get to the apex with whatever connections you have, you are whipped in line in whatever you do, so that, like people says, a president will not want to go to bed worrying about
how the
judges would
so they want their lawyer friends.
Are there not structures in place to check that? If you go outside of what is prescribed, you could be petitioned and removed, as we have seen, is it not?
So, I'm going to speak on this from a constitutionalist point of view, and who is interested in constitutional reform. When it comes to the superior courts, High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, there's no promotion within that court structure. Every appointment is a fresh appointment. So if you're a High Court judge and you're appointed to the Court of Appeal, you have not been promoted to the Court of Appeal. You have been appointed to the Court of Appeal. So it's a different process. Now, who makes the appointment? The ultimate buck stops at the presidency. The Judicial Council can get involved and make recommendations. That's fine. But the truth is that the Supreme Court itself has recognized in GBA versus Attorney General that the ultimate decision is the president who makes it. When the president decided that he was not going to appoint Bensa Bonsu and appointed Puaman, he made that decision on his own without whatever recommendations we have given to him. So the truth is, the considerations that go into why the president will make that decision, presuming that you have met the basic constitutional qualification, that you have integrity and you have made 15 years at the bar, that decision is unimpeachable. If the president can do it for whatever reasons, he can do it as to whether or not he perceives your line of thinking and reasoning to be opposed to his political philosophy and for which reason he wants dissent on the bench, he can do that. If he thinks that, looking at how your judicial thinking is, we are more comfortable with you, he's entitled to do that. The former Supreme Court Justice Atuguba has made it clear that, but this is exactly what we want, that the president is making that decision. So anybody who is appointed, we must presume that this is somebody that the party and the presidency is comfortable with. And we must live with that choice that we have made, or we must reform it. So that's kind of my thinking around this. But that does not discount the fact that, Chief Justice, potential Chief Justice Bafoboni is stepping into a role in which, from at least the little we have said here, we can tell that there's so much problems within the judicial system. It is not fit for purpose in delivering the justice that we require. It is not, in nowhere close. Even, and I have talked about even the corruption within the judicial service itself. One of the things when I started the law firm was that I told my staff, we are not going to pay any bailiff to go and serve a process. Then it means that my clients will all leave me, because none of your processes will be served. We are routinely paying people to go and serve a process for you. That is unconscionable.
After paying legal fees.
After paying legal fees. It's unconscionable. Now, to determine whether or not somebody has filed something, you have to write a letter, you have to go to the registry, go and pay, search, wait for this, to determine whether or not the person has even entered appearance. How can I not have a system when I say that, okay, this is there, the person has already entered appearance? So there's so much.
The system is there, they are not using it.
It is such a system that I don't understand what we have created. I don't get it. So the job for
leave it and come and teach.
So
somebody should fix it.
I don't get it.
Somebody should come and fix it.
So there's so much problems across board that only a reform-minded Chief Justice can get us where we need to go. He has a few years when he comes in to be able to take us there. And by some strange reason of coincidence, he is head of our judiciary and his wife is head of the prison service. These are key institutions in our criminal and our justice system. So how they plan reform from home and come and deliver it to the public, they have to figure out how we get it. But because we are in such let's not mince words about it, we are in a mess. It's a complete mess. So many of the problems we have, our ability to restrict public officers, our ability to get the executive to conform, a lot of it deals with our inability to get anything done with the court system.
Yeah.
Nothing.
The whole country down.
I'll give you an example. I have been representing individuals that were deported from the US. Okay. In the US system, the names of these individuals is a way in which you can anonymize it. We don't have any of that procedure here. You must disclose who the applicant is. Yeah. To file a lawsuit, you must disclose your private residential address. What is the privacy concerns around that? When you have an emergency application that you are supposed to make, and when I say emergency, not every emergency must be ex parte. Sometimes it must be on notice. You have to be able to file it for the agents to respond. The US, they have it. Everybody's responding immediately. The judge can take it by video in their home, wherever. We don't have any process. This is why the police can wait. When we have notified them for 3 months to go on a protest, the night before they go and file a process, and you tell me that you must wait for another 3 days to go. It's a mess across board. So I don't know who is like, there's no design thinking, systems thinking in terms of how we administer the judiciary. And then when there's no justice, then we all come and complain, then we go and vote again. And new people will come to tell us to give us the same thing. But the system's element stays the same. And nothing is going anywhere. So for me, those are the critical things I want the Chief Justice to be judged on. And hopefully we see real momentum on that,
And that's a system is inheriting. But then again, how many years does he have to stay as Chief Justice?
Oh, a lot can be done in a year. A lot can be done in reforms in a year.
Next year.
That's a little over a year.
A lot can be done in terms of reform.
Let's be clear, not much can be done in this country in 1 year trying to move around a ship like the judicial service. It is not difficult, it's not equal to impossible. All right? If they get a crazy guy in that place, he will insist that in 6 months, that multi-million-dollar IT system that we have put in place be used. Some of the things Oliver is saying, they sound crazy, but there's no reason why we don't have it. Look, we had to even amend our LI, to allow electronic service. I have been saying for at least 5 years now that there should be a system by which once a lawyer gets onto the file, that lawyer will be served by email. And the system we have now, it is possible for you to be able to check these things in your office. They simply won't use it. The problem in our judicial system is the judicial service. It's not just even the judges and the lawyers. The service, like you said, the bailiffs. You pay filing fees, you still have to pay a bailiff, then you have to follow up. You want to do a simple search, and it's a mess. Something that you should be able to do on a computer. We can go on and on and on and on. But my point is, it would take strong men standing up, and this is not a matter of law, it's a matter of administration, and executive management, to say that, look, this system must work because we've spent the money on it. Look, for instance, transcription. We spent money on microphones, equipment, and all those things. Simple maintenance. Okay? In a short while, a matter of months, they were all shoved aside. We go to court, we stand there, and you should be speaking while somebody is typing. The person who is typing is not the lawyer. Sometimes you use legal terms, and you have to repeat it 2, 3, 4 times. It's not their fault. Okay? That thing even messes with your mind. All right? There's no reason why it should be so. When today, there is very cheap software. In fact, some of it can be on your phone. By the time you finish AI, it will summarize, give you all the key points and everything. Years ago, outside, I won't mention, you go to court today, all right? In 24 hours, you receive in your email the full record of the previous court session. There's no reason why we can't have it here today, all right? So those are system issues, and I think they can be dealt with. On the substantive issue of the appointment of the new Chief Justice, look, there is no lawyer who knows what he's talking about who will deny that Justice Bafoboni is extremely experienced and competent for the job. There's no problem there. Okay. Really, my only issue really is that for somebody who has paid his dues this much, his ascent to that place should be glorious. I think that there is a cloud, it's an unfair cloud around it because of the issues around CJ Tokono. Okay. And the point is, we sat here and we spoke about the fact. Look, the president has the power under our constitution to remove the CJ. Last week, I think Lawyer Digi sat here and said, somebody said the easiest person to remove in this republic is the Chief Justice because they take a petition and the president likes it. We should fix those things, but that's the law. The point is, CJ Tokono, I've seen a press statement, I think from her lawyers, saying that the procedures are not being followed. She has the right to appeal. She has the right to challenge some of the decisions. She has the right to some of the documentation. She has the right to some reports. She has the right to, certain things. Give it to me. Let me know what to do. Let me exhaust, the remedies available to me. And she's screaming and shouting from a certain place, and it looks like nobody's listening to her. It casts a shade over this Chief Justice's ascent to the table. And my view is that for a man like that, there should be no such cloud hanging over him. Why can't we just deal with the issues concerning CJ Tokono? All right? She's claiming there are procedural breaches and issues concerning her removal. Let's resolve them and let this man who has earned his place ascend to that place gloriously. So one, I have absolute respect for Justice Bafoboni. He's been there all these years. Who has heard anything about him? All right. And like people are saying, sometimes you expect him to go this way, he'll go that way, not go. And I think he merits that position. In fact, it's a shame that he has so little time left. And these reforms and things, I would have been happy to help him to do it, for instance. But he has this little time. I think the time that he has, he should try and really break some things.
To break something?
Yeah.
Like what?
The system.
Okay.
And I keep saying, the judicial system. You see, it's hardened. All right, and you can't do anything about it. Look, we have paralegals. They go there, they are trying to do filing. They come back and they tell the master, this one, if you are not a lawyer, you can't get anything done. And like we are saying, we spend millions of dollars on software, okay? They've chosen not to use it. All right? And the judges are stressed. Okay? They have to do so much work. All right? And I think that he should just be bold and fix this system. If he needs the help of Oliver and Co and whatever it is, we'll all be happy to jump in and do something. So one, it's sad that we are not dealing with the shade and the issues around CJ Tokono so that will be cleared and then he can ascend clearly. That's one. Number two, he does have a challenge coming forward. Look, until you know some of the history, people think that, President Mahama has removed one person and he's going to put, his person there. So he will carry that baggage too, and he would have to deal with it. So dealing with the executive is another challenge that he will have. You have a situation where, like I said, the president is becoming imperial because clearly Parliament can't control him. All right? And then there will be this perception around the new CJ that, he put you there. And the thinking is that if he put you there, you're going to do his bidding. He has to show that he's not going to be anybody's, do anybody's bidding. And then he needs to leave a legacy, short as his time is. For me, I think that's some sort of advantage too. If you have a long time, you have more to fear. Short time, do what you have to do. When the time is come, you move. There is a reform going on, and I'm extremely grateful for it. Professor Kuku Asare, at a point I was his lawyer. on General Legal Counsel. We've been fighting. It's up 10 years or so now. Okay, and some of the things that are being reformed now are the things that he's been fighting for. Some of us have joined him fighting for the reform of legal education, the reform of the systems. This new bad thing that is going on, my only issue with it is I don't think it should be a fight. You know, it should be something that we can sit there and deal with. Nobody is arguing about freedom of association and all those kinds of things. This CJ has to sit over all these reforms. Okay, reforming the General Legal Counsel and all those other things, and then reforms within the court system. We should have 24-hour courts. All right, in this government where 24-hour has been declared, some people will opt to go to court at night, and there'll be some judges who may be willing to do it. The systems can run.
So
all
you,
right? So
you
there's no
subscribe
reason
to
why.
that 24-hour
Absolutely.
court system?
I said it many years ago. Okay, that there is no impediment in the way of saying if you want to come to court at night, if there's a judge, it should be possible for us to do it. It will sweat our resources. Overnight, nothing is happening in the courts. Look at all the traffic and everything. So people would actually offer to do. So there's a lot to be done. The man that is ascending to that position is extremely capable. I hope that he will have the wherewithal and all these other things hanging around him can be resolved. And if they are resolved, we'll all be happy to support him to succeed.
So whether there are any lingering issues about the former CJ and the removal, the Attorney General is seeking some clarity at the Supreme Court. That's a matter we'll get into briefly. Yes,
Yeah,
but Counsel.
just a small point on the 24-hour point. No,
you
I'm
wanted
not,
to
just a
touch on.
point that, you know, former Chief Justice Tokono introduced afternoon courts in Amasaman, and I think Medina and a few other. So maybe Justice Bafuboni can
do
scale up.
evening courts.
Yes. And I mentioned that we went to Singapore about 7 years ago, and for evening courts, they come 6 p.m. and they start. So
And the
workers,
online courts can be a feature. In the US, for instance, if you have a court case, say you can file. In fact, yesterday they filed something against a Comey. All right, you can file emergency issues, habeas corpus, etc. Court can be conducted over the phone. All right, with the necessary protocols in place and that kind of thing. The technology is there. So these reforms are necessary in order to move the backlog and speed the systems. Then oral can really get some traction.
One last question before Professor Jampo comes in. Professor Jampo, some lawyers say I should ask you that in the university, don't you go on vacation?
This vacation matter is
not long vacation. We all do. When
We
we
go
go
to
on
the foreigner,
No, please. You
half
go on
months.
vacation. You don't go on vacation. You go on vacation and then you are teaching other distance learning. You are teaching. You mark till the semester opens again.
Okay, so definitely with divergent
You
views
can't
on
that
this,
they are doing.
certainly. But you see, it's one thing having the, Prof, and it's to you, the systems, the technology in place, and another having the people use it. Because if what
judicial service.
Mr. Bento is saying is anything to go by, it's not as if we don't have the structures in place. Some of them we do. But is it a deliberate decision not to use them?
It appears, you see, from gleaning from what they are saying, it appears that if the system works well, some people will be out of job.
Yes.
If the system works well, some people,
Not even out of
some Goro boys people would not be able to get what, and so then deliberately let us ensure that the delays are still on. You still have people resorting to some tactics just to be able to ensure that they will be able to continue to milk the system, benefit from the inefficiencies within the system. And I think that it is unfair, it is bad, and if we are minded as a nation, we should begin to interrogate some of these things beyond what we are discussing here. You need a CJ who comes in to say that, look, I'm a reformist, and so all these things we are bringing about reform. Truly, let me say that when Justice Poaman was recently made to act as Chief Justice, I held that, I think the acting... recently, I think Poaman acted, may have traveled, So when Justice Poaman acted as a CG, I held a thought that, look, this man may possibly be made the CG because he's an appointee. He was sent there by President Mahama. But for President Mahama to appoint someone appointed by J. Kufuor into this position, in my view, tells us the inclusive mindset of President Mahama. For daring to speak his mind about, in his ruling on the 2013 election petition process. We all know that this man was undermined, he was disrespected, he was marginalized, and he was treated very badly. But me, as a man of faith, I believe that God's time is always the best for all of us. And so today he has the opportunity to prove his mettle. As all of you have said here, everybody knows that he's a very hardworking and a very competent person. I had the opportunity to meet with him just for 1 minute. And within that period of 1 minute, within 30 seconds, I was convinced that, look, this man is a very tough, rugged person. He knows his stuff. And so I believe he would excel. And he will be able to sit also, as all of you are saying, given that he's able to blend the traditions of both the NDC and MPP, a Kufuor appointee and a Mahama appointee, given that he's able to blend, he'll be able to blend the traditions of the two parties. I believe that he's competent to sit as an independent arbiter, and his sitting and his leadership of the judiciary will help to restore the lost and dissipated public confidence in the judicial, arm of government. So I want to wish him well, and like you all have said, he may not be someone who would have enough time, on the judicial. I don't know whether our constitution allow for contracts, people to have their contracts as CJs external. I don't know, you are the lawyers.
6 months.
So it can be extended.
It's 6 months for him to complete judgment.
Okay. But the point is that if he really wants to fix things, 3 months, he would send a signal. The next 3 months, things will be done in a manner that will show palpable impact. And so, Justice Bafo-Bonny, I have a lot of confidence in you. The president has a lot of confidence in you, and your own background as somebody who is able to blend the two main traditions within our political landscape should help you to serve as an independent arbiter, and should help you to restore the lost confidence in the judiciary. So,
is there lost confidence?
I have lost it.
We have not lost confidence.
No, I have lost it. For me, I have
still practicing the court.
I have no choice.
There are surveys, you see, there are surveys and there are data that show that the public confidence in the judiciary, has
low,
fast dissipated. And it is important that we get a reformist to
agree, but we should be very careful.
He himself has said that
not to run it down.
He has a close relationship with most of the judges, at the Supreme Court. And so I want to hope that you will be able to also tap into their support. You don't want a situation where I see a Chief Justice who is seen as, an NDC appointee or MPP appointee, and others may be behind the scenes sabotaging. He himself has said that given the relationship that he has with all of them, he is able to bring all of them to assist in his drive to also make his mark before he exits. So I can only wish him well.
Okay, thank you. Quite a number of your messages, Professor Stephen Kokwasare. Thank you so much for the earlier messages. It says that the discourse this morning with divergent views offers us all to think of ways to develop this country. Oral must work. There's nothing negotiable about it. Beyond oral, it says there must be OPA, Operation Prevent All Loot.
That's more important.
Operation Prevent OPA.
Yes,
that's more important.
Yes. So the prevention as well is what he is also emphasizing. He says it's more important than oral.
Yes.
In your view.
Yes. In fact,
Operation Prevent
you see,
All Loot.
if we just let systems work, audit systems, etc., we should be able to prevent payroll. Okay, it takes a month for you to prepare it and then you pay. If we prevented it, we'll have fewer things to do oral over. And our systems are not primed to do a quick oral, like it was promised. So prevention is more key.
David Kopo says, good morning. Stand greetings to Lawyer Martin people. Okay, so a number of people sending messages about your outfit today.
Thank you. They say we should change, so I change for them today.
Okay, thank you. This one says,
the allowance.
Indeed, I agree with Professor Jampo. Let Musa Damkwa's focus as well be on the sectors of the economy Ghanaians want the government to tackle. He's done a survey on that, as well. So it's one that we touched on as well. This one also here says, good morning. Please, is Kofi Bento saying that, for instance, in the matter of Kenuforiata that we have not had any updates on, is one that we cannot, okay, I think there's an omission, we cannot do as a country in terms of ensuring that we bring finality to this matter.
I am the only one saying we should bring finality to it.
Justice cannot be delayed in this manner.
I am the only one in this country saying we should bring finality to it. I said there's no reason why we haven't proceeded to prosecute in absentia.
Yes.
And everybody is saying that we should wait and go and bring it.
No. I also, before you started coming here, that's the same thing I've been saying here, that we can do.
I was crucified for a long time because I said that, look, no lawyer will tell him to come. Go ahead and do the work.
What's the state of affairs? I mean,
So the question is, the people in charge, what are they doing?
You see?
You don't need to have his body here before you can proceed. And if you have his body here, he can refuse to talk.
Yes.
And I'm
he
saying
himself has even said he will cooperate from the US.
So why are you sitting down?
OSP should take that offer.
And for this, I was insulted for months.
OSP take that offer to talk to Oforiatta whilst he's in the US. The US authorities can take his statements for you,
Or
the proceed
proceed.
statement, the charge statement, etc. Then you go to court if it doesn't come, so that we can quickly, hopefully after conviction, then we can take the assets. Then we can also reach out to the US authorities to take his money over there for us.
What's your take on this, man?
It's our money. And let me add this one quickly. This is the other part matter.
Okay.
The the Africa for Sir Philip. Yeah, the one I said, the other contract that is the other part signed with involving the AG, and they paid over 40 million euros, etc. Yeah, the police are on it. They are arrested for Sir Phillips, and now investigations are ongoing.
Okay.
So hopefully
that's an important update at least. What we didn't have. Yes, Oliver, just a quick one on this.
I mean, for me, it's silly that the entire prosecutorial, our ability to prosecute an individual becomes blocked because the person is no longer in the jurisdiction.
The laws
I'm talking about from the perspective of the institutionally, how the institution is proceeding on this with the understanding. Because what the danger we are creating is that every other person I know in this country has a 5 years visa to the US.
Yes.
Then it means that you just go and sit somewhere and wait out the kind of politics we do. And then wait that government changes.
So you agree with me?
I agree with you that
there should be.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yes.
Because I also said from the beginning that legally,
I was crucified for this.
There's no reason why an individual has to come before you. Anytime I have taken anybody to the police, all I ask them to write is that if I have anything to say, I'll say it in court. I don't aid your investigative process in any way.
Educate some of us. What will be the benefit of finding somebody guilty and the person is not here? What will be the, I just want to.
It's a legal position which changes the stature of the person locally and internationally. If a person is working and has not been convicted and found guilty, they have rights which you cannot deal with. So for instance, if you even want to extradite somebody, presently, you're going to extradite somebody in the name of a suspect that you want to question. You have no constitutional right to question anybody, and you have no right to compel anybody to be participating in their own prosecution. If, however, the person has been tried and convicted, whether with a lawyer or not, then that person is a fugitive from justice, and the international system will extradite them easier. So I have a problem with the people who say that they want to extradite somebody just to question him, when the person can come and sit here and refuse to talk.
You mean the special prosecutors?
Yes.
This one says
he was making a point also.
No, I mean the point is made that for me, I'm perhaps focusing on more the systemic, risk that we are creating. We're taking a particular approach on this and saying that the person ought to be brought back, because then, it disables us ultimately from dealing with so many individuals who, and the same thing happened with the lady Gifty, with the the National Service person, that she ultimately decided to come back to Ghana. At some point she was not in the jurisdiction at all. So then what? That's what we need to be reflecting on. With the ease of international travel now, we block our ability to be able to move forward. That, for me, is not a reasonable response to the issue.
Setabloso says,
we want to play
good
to
morning.
the gallery.
The stakes will be very high in the choice of a presidential candidate for any political party. Whilst youthfulness by the poll tracker will be important, integrity will be a critical factor. Those who cleared Kenuforiatta on the appointments committee for ministerial appointment, despite being unfit in the face of available incontrovertible evidence, will have a lot of explanation to do. Why you says, thank you very much for your message. This one also here says, President Jomama, its rating is falling because the Attorney General's pace of prosecuting the former government appointees is very slow. This one also here, my view, as much as galamsey is an existential threat to humanity, the government should come out with a procedural measure to curb the menace. If all those measures don't yield any results, then we would resort to the emergency declaration measure. Professor Edu. Thank you very much, Prof, for, it says it will be premature decision on this infant government to declare state of emergency in all mining sites. It says this security zone recommendation that has been taken from your platform is the way to go. Thank you. This one here says that kindly find out from Kobe Bento, a keen advocate for Dr. Bamia, if he made such laudable suggestions in the past. You say, okay, thank you.
For 30 years. What is he talking about?
Yes. This one here says, Mohammed from Salaga says, I'm proud to be a Ghanaian, giving
President 1991.
the drop in John Mohammed's ratings. We are indicating that we can think and choose what is right. Indeed, if we don't see the prosecution of these persons that have been alleged to be involved in corruption, the drop will be drastic in the next survey. I'm always on this platform in the morning. Thank you very much. This one also here from some of our Facebook viewers. This is from Money Neymani. Says, good morning. It says, please tell Oliver Wakavamawa it's not too late to propose the solutions he has talked about this morning to the Attorney General. And he can also offer his service to the Attorney General. Well, I think it's something that he's open to. I don't know. This one also says we should think about the 24-hour courts as well. The night courts, is it going to come with allowances for the judges? Please ask Mr. Bento to answer that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It goes without saying.
It's here, Judge.
So
In fact,
the president
150%. It's over time. So that would be more lucrative. And the people who will go should pay an extra.
Okay.
And people will opt for it. Yeah, you pay an extra to go for night court. And then the judges will come. There's an extra for them doing it. So it's an option that many people will
But you pay an
I
extra
see.
not to go and have your judge, your lawyer dictating to somebody.
Exactly my point.
I could not stand it. I just had to.
I can explain to you the system that will make it work tomorrow.
Okay.
It's the system.
Talk with Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. Good morning. He says, age does not determine a good leader. It's a person's policies, integrity, and vision that truly matters. History has shown us great examples of effective leaders who achieve remarkable feats, even in their later years. Take, for instance, the aftermath of World War II, when Europe lay in ruins. Leaders like Conrad, who became Chancellor of Germany at 73 and led the country's reconstruction. Winston Churchill, who led Britain to victory in his 70s. And Charles de Gaulle also, who shaped France's future from 68 years onwards, demonstrate that it's not age that matters. Similarly, in our own context, Kwame Nkrumah in his 50s, with a bold vision for Ghana, propelled the country forward. It says that let's focus on essential qualities when evaluating our leaders and work towards building brighter futures for ourselves and for generations to come. I'm going to go for this quick break. We're back shortly with some more. This is Keypoint. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. And I'll tell you about this. You've seen this a number of times on watching the show. This is the huge University of Ghana Premier Fresh. You drink, don't you?
Yes, why not?
You drink it. So this is UG Premier Fresh natural mineral water sourced from the clean, right sources. We don't add any chemicals in the purification process. It refreshes, it hydrates, and also we thrive on our pure crystal clear water. It comes in three main forms: the bottles forms, the 500 ml, the dispenser jar, 18.5 ml. You can locate our depots at the University of Ghana, Liman Hall. University of Ghana, Liman Hall. And you can get more of this as well. Call them on 056 181 4444, 056-181-4444 or 055-5060-150, 055-5060-150. And you get more
Let
on this.
no university go and copy this. This is Eugene. Let no university go and copy this.
And as always, on Saturdays, my outfit you've seen me wear every Saturday is by Cobra Clothing. It's the best version of you. You can locate them on the Spintex Road, 18 junction of the Spintex Road for this outfit and many others. Call them on 0244-238-341, 0244-238-341. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
When we come together, generations connect through love and legacy. In the present stillness, we see echoes of the past and enduring strength, founded on Gassem's unwavering commitment. From generation to generation, Gassem has been a cornerstone in shaping our nation's future. And now, with Gassem's new Eco Cool, we set a new standard for strength and sustainability. Gassem Eco Cool, cementing a sustainable nation. Gassem, the nation builder.
The season is on pause, but the game goes on. Discover virtual football in the off-season in the 1xBet app on 1xBet Football. Always with you.
What am I done? Huh?
Welcome back. This is Keypoint on TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3. Gentlemen, okay, we are back. We're back. Okay. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com. The Attorney General is at the Supreme Court asking the court to answer a number of questions. And it's on the back of these reliefs that the former Chief Justice is seeking in her latest application that we discussed last week, that there should be a declaration that the President is devoid of power to remove a Justice of the Superior Court from office without recourse to the mandatory procedure set out in Article 146. And this, a declaration that jurisdiction to hear a petition for the removal of a Justice of the Superior Court from office lies with a body properly so constituted under Article 1464 of the 1992 Constitution. And this is the crux of the issues, the questions that the Attorney General is asking the Supreme Court to answer. The former Chief Justice is seeking a declaration that the warrant of removal executed by the President dated 1st September 2025 purporting to remove her from both the office of Chief Justice and the office of a Justice of the Superior Court of Judicature is unlawful, null, void, and of no effect. And so the Attorney General is at the Supreme Court asking a number of questions. One, that whether a person may retain his or her previous judicial office, if any, upon appointment to the office of the Chief Justice. And two, whether the Chief Justice's membership of the Superior Court of Judicature is ex officio to the office of the Chief Justice. And finally, whether a person may retain his or her membership of the Superior Court of Judicature upon removal from the office of the Chief Justice. Now, this is why the Attorney General is at the Supreme Court. Will this move or decision by the Attorney General to seek this particular intervention or interpretation by the Superior Courts, that's the Supreme Court, bring some finality to the matters at play? I'll start off with you.
First of all, there's an inherent incompetence in the judicial review application that has been filed. When you go for judicial review, you are inviting the court to exercise what we call supervisory jurisdiction of the court. You cannot, in invoking supervisory jurisdiction, ask for what we call declarative reliefs. So the declarations that they are seeking within the context of a judicial review application is incompetent. The Constitution is clear as to what powers can be exercised. So if you go to Article 161, I would read it gives you 1, habeas corpus, certiorari, mandamus, prohibition of quo warranto. Those are the only reliefs you can seek. So declarative reliefs are not one of them. Secondly, legally, and this is the confusion that I've seen so many people make in some of this discussion, it is presumed that the Chief Justice is at the same time a Chief Justice and then a Justice of the Supreme Court. She's not. Those are different offices. The Chief Justice position is a fresh appointment. It's not an elevation. A person can be appointed from the High Court to become a Chief Justice. So that when you say that the person is then removed as Chief Justice, the person should go back to the High Court. That's what they are suggesting. Once you are appointed to the office of the Chief Justice, every previous appointment you have held has ceased. You no longer exist as another additional judicial officer.
So it's not a position that you hold in two.
No, you don't hold two positions at the same time. And I've seen this being spoken about, like so many confusions. No. And when a justice is appointed, when Justice Gewu was appointed from the High Court to the Supreme Court, he didn't at the same time hold the High Court position together with the Supreme Court position. It's extinguished, dead, gone. So in the case of, former Chief Justice Tokono, she was a Supreme Court justice, and then when that ended, when she was appointed, by going through parliamentary vetting and that becoming ratified, she then assumed a new office. So she only exists as Chief Justice. Having been removed as Chief Justice then that's it. You don't go back and say that the previous office I held before I became a Chief Justice must be reinstated. There's nothing to reinstate. So that's the confusion here. I'm very happy that the Attorney General has decided that he will take this matter to the Supreme Court. Because there's also some confusion that people were suggesting that this is settled matter. But it's an inherent confusion where people think that an obiter reasoning of the court, when you say obiter, things that the judges say along the way is the ratio or the main reason. If I go to court to ask the court whether, the fact that this process was publicized would invalidate the process, there's a specific question that the court is answering. Even in terms of talking, the judge says, and I also think that once you are removed as Chief Justice, you have also been removed as Supreme Court Justice. It is not what the court was deciding. It was something they said by the way. So perhaps for us to get complete clarity on this, we have to understand how law functions. A new appointment is made when the person is appointed as Chief Justice. The person can accept or decline that job as Chief Justice. It's not an add-on to their role. It's a role in itself. So when you look at the constitutional structure, it says that the Supreme Court is made up of the Chief Justice and the justices of the Supreme Court. So these are separate. It doesn't say that it's made up of justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom has an additional responsibility as. No. It's a different office on its own. And you see that the Chief Justice then, by reason of Chief Justice, is part of the High Court, is part of the Court of Appeal, is part of the Regional Tribunal. All different sectors of the court system. So when that office then, you have been removed from the office, your ability to belong to the Supreme Court, your ability to belong to the Court of Appeal, the High Court, and the Regional Tribunals is all gone. So that's for me at least, that's the reasoning I take in terms of how we understand the structure that the Constitution has created around this issue.
And see, as for the obiter debate, I think we settled it last week on this same platform. So there isn't much to. But then again, you mentioned that this move of judicial review, in your view, based on at least the references of the law that you indicate, the Attorney General's decision to seek interpretation will bring some finality to this. Is it on the same path?
Absolutely. Look, there was a release from her camp, and one portion struck me, and I think I just want to read it. It's very short. It says, if someone wants to destroy the work of a judge of significant repute of many decades and her accomplishments, the least that should be done in a constitutional republic is to at least accord her the basic rights she is entitled to as a citizen. She has a right to know the findings against her and the reasons for her removal in a proper written and complete report, so she can avail herself of any remedies available. The point here is it possible that the Chief Justice has been removed and she doesn't have a written report of the reasons why she was removed? Is that the case? That is the question. Okay, because I am told that she didn't get a report in the prima facie case, so she couldn't properly, if she doesn't get that, she can't prepare her defense. She's entitled to that. She didn't get a written report of the reasons why she's removed. These are fundamental. And so that's why I read. If it is true, and I'm reading from what Honorable Ayiko Ewotu published, please get it.
He sent that to me.
Good, so check. Is that true? If it is true, then we are making a bad mistake. And you see, that's why I say, if the new CJ Bafoboni, after all his work, is going to ascend onto this seat, let it not go under this cloud. That you remove, you understand what I'm saying? Can it be that you didn't give her the prima facie report, that you haven't given her a report of why she's been removed? Now, the arguments that Oliver has just made, they are arguments. And like you said the last time, we had all kinds of arguments. I made a point here the last time that this table is not the Chief Justice, it's not the Supreme Court. So let that matter go before the justices, the lords of law, and let them determine it, because there is merit to it. So when you add the fact that...
I thought you said there were precedents.
We argued the precedents back and forth. So for instance, we've argued it. There were orbiters, and then Martin was able to show that Modibo actually spoke to it as a substantive issue. I was able to show that Article 146 Clause 2 says something which is directly opposite what Modibo said. So in law, we have something called per incuriam, where a judge makes a ruling that is directly in aberration with the law. So the issues are clearly there. Now, seeing that she has a cause, and she has not exhausted the legal remedies available to her. And somewhere also I read something which is very important. It said, this is the Chief Justice. If anybody has a moral responsibility to fight for what is right procedure, it is her. You have a situation where people say, oh, they've removed her, she should just go home. No, I said last week and I repeat, this fight is useful for us more than her. But for whatever it's worth, this is a career, an illustrious career. You don't just get up and throw it into the dustbin. Give the woman at least what she is justly entitled to and let her go through the processes and fight a case. There are about, I hear 4 cases pending on this matter. The determination of which can move this here there. People think she's trying to come back as Chief Justice. I don't see how that is possible. All right? But the truth is that if there are 4 cases pending, look, Oliver, for instance, sued on these people who were, deported here. All of a sudden, I heard that they have been sent back. If there's a matter in court, and the matter hasn't been determined, and I don't know the facts, so you can tell me, but if it was in court, hasn't been determined, we haven't had finality and a judicial pronouncement of it, and then the executive just goes ahead and overreaches the matter, it is wrong.
And that's why we asked the same question. The answer was that there was a process in motion, so it wasn't as though they were going to stay here.
But a judicial process holds things. He has the facts, so he can correct me on that. But where I'm going is that when somebody has a matter before a court, you hold your hand. And in the situation where this has to do with the courts themselves, a Chief Justice, it is a bit worrying to me that it's almost, ignored that she has matters in court. Again, we keep going back to the Demalovo case. We have a matter in court for 2 years, it's not heard, and then when it comes, we win the case, but then it's already moot. Okay, it is worrying. It is worrying, and I think we should do something about it. If you read the statement that they put out, okay, it casts a shade, and I think we should get rid of these things and then move forward with a clear mind.
I acknowledge what Niaiko to the lead counsel for the former Chief Justice, Tokono, has sent me. In fact, portions of which you have referenced. Yes. So I have that statement from Niaiko to he sent that to me as well. Maybe
you should put him on the line.
Yeah, this decision, because of time, but this decision to seek this interpretation, the questions that the Attorney General is asking of the Supreme Court, would it settle the issues that Kofi Bento, for instance, raises, and what the counsel for the former Chief Justice is raising, specific to the entire process of whether or not she can still, or the warrant of removal affects both portfolios as a Justice of the Superior Court and a Chief Justice?
Yeah, okay. As for the removal affecting both, there is no doubt at all that it does. That one, there is no doubt. And that resolves most of the issues that have been raised. Because, you see, last week we refer and we repeat. The Supreme Court said in the Judicial case that when you are removed as a Chief Justice, by implication, you are removed as a Supreme Court judge. That's page 804. We read it.
Yes.
Modibo saying it. And then you come to Datiban. Datiban also making the point. Look, before Datiban made the point that your actions as a Chief Justice affect your actions too as a Supreme Court judge, what he first did was to pull out arguments that the plaintiff had made. And it was the plaintiff who argued that when you are removed as a Chief Justice, you are removed as a Supreme Court judge. It was a plaintiff. Let's read it for emphasis. So, Oliver, sorry, I have to...
You are re-arguing last week.
Yes, because that's what it involves. Oliver, I don't know if you paid attention to this. He said, and by all means, it's not possible that...
Order 55?
Sorry, no, the point that the remover, you're saying that when it's obiter, and I'm saying no.
Okay.
At 2 points, I don't agree.
Okay.
Look, this is page, if you go 773, okay, you see that a ban, he quoted verbatim the arguments that Ejechu made through Bedi Etuo and his father, right? He says, paragraph 12 says, the Constitution does not provide any separate and distinct grounds other than those set out in Article 146, Clause 1, for removing the Chief Justice, Chief Justice from office. Thus, under the Constitution, a Chief Justice cannot be removed as Chief Justice from office and remain on the bench as a Superior Court judge or as a justice of the Superior Court. Let's repeat. It was a Ejechum who argued that thus, under the Constitution, a Chief Justice cannot be removed as a Chief Justice from office and remain on the bench as a Justice of the Superior Court. That's paragraph 12, page 773, 774. So you see that the Supreme Court copied out their arguments and set out to answer. And Dateba said, look, your actions as a Chief Justice also affect your actions as a Supreme Court judge because of the ethics. I mean, we can read out that. So, Oliver, the point where you said that for you, when somebody is appointed as a Chief Justice, the office of Supreme Court judge is gone. That one, respectfully, I disagree. That's not how. No, because they say that you are a Chief Justice. Your actions as a Chief Justice also affect your ethics as a Supreme Court judge. Presumably, that Supreme Court judge office is still there.
So any act that breaches the ethics in your capacity as a Supreme Court judge also affects that capacity as a Justice of the Superior Court.
Excellent. Yes, that's what the Supreme Court
they are two separate,
said.
and the removal process should be different.
No,
my issue is the procedure now. My issue is the procedure now. Was she giving the reports?
Yes.
That's a key issue.
So when it comes to that, let's read. Then Modibo said the Chief Justice, upon his removal, will by implication also lose his position as a judge. The Chief Justice, upon his removal, will by implication also lose his position as a judge. That's Modibo Okran at page 804. That's Justice Modibo Okran.
We'll put that on the
and
screen
before
right
he
now.
did so, this is what he says. He says, however, an interesting inferential question arises. Since the grounds for the removal of the Chief Justice are placed at par with the removal of the other justices of the Superior Court, can the Chief Justice continue to sit as an ordinary member of the Supreme Court after being removed as a Chief Justice?
There's an error there.
Suppose
it's not at par. That's where the error is.
Oh, well,
there are two different processes.
Well,
two different processes. It's in 1462. That's what I'm saying. It's not Imperial.
Suppose he or she was
resolve this
removed
matter
due to incompetence as an
It's
administrator.
a very different process.
But the person had a track record as a superb judge before being elevated to the position of Chief Justice.
A Chief Justice is not an administrative office. It's a
Let us
judicial
say
office.
that he or she was simply a terrible administrator. Why cannot such a person come back to his regular Supreme Court position and continue with his outstanding judicial performance?
So the premise is wrong. Martin, if a member of the bar is appointed as a Chief Justice, can the person sit on the Supreme Court?
Absolutely.
Yes, so the inherent in the Chief Justice is a judicial and administrative office. It's not separate. So it's not an administrative role alone.
Thing.
Because the argument.
Same thing. They're saying that
Yeah, but you are saying that.
is different.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. That the person is not removed. If you are removed as Chief Justice, you are removed in the administrative and judicial role. Not separate. That we should finish that one and come and remove you again as a judge.
Yes.
That's not. It can't be the case.
Exactly.
So they are separate offices. Once you are appointed to the Chief Justice, if you whatever you were before, you're no longer.
I'm not, but that
What you're saying doesn't work.
Yes.
If they are separate offices,
Yes.
and there are separate provisions made for them. Okay.
If they're separate offices, if the Chief Justice occupying two offices at the same time,
Hear me.
No.
Give me 1 minute.
Hold on. Let
Let me finish. 1 minute. I don't need more than that. Oliver, your answer is here. Look, Article 128 Clause 1 says, the Supreme Court shall consist of the Chief Justice
and not
less than 9
other
Oliver. So it tells you
The question is not that. The question is whether or not Chief Justice
my quick point.
is both the Justice of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice. It can only be one.
In a minute.
Martin says one thing, and that is the same thing. Oliver is saying they are two separate. And I'm saying the two of them cannot be correct at the same time. That is one. I am making a third position. The third position I'm making is that look at the law. Article 146 subclause 2 says that as Justice of the Supreme Court may only be removed. It restricts you. Now, appointments for those two offices are different. vetting for those two offices are different, and then removal for those two offices are differently provided for. The constitution of the committee are different.
Okay.
What it tells you is that they are different and should be treated differently. But
Yes.
Thank you.
We agree on that.
Prof, I think you
So there is
thank you.
many. We have a problem.
Okay, thank
Let the
you.
Supreme
Thank
Court
you.
deal with it.
I've been listening to Kofi
And they should give us the
Bentil
report.
on this matter, and I've been listening to Martin Pebu, and clearly, and I've heard Oliver. They are contrasting and conflicting positions on this matter, and I think that the way and manner, then some people also go out of their way to say that this current government means harm, and that's how come they are not listening to some of the things that are being said. I mean, it's problematic because if it were the case, then the Attorney General would not have gone to the Supreme Court to seek interpretation, to bring clarity. And so, for me, it tells me that the processes have been resorted to. The outcome has led to some more conflicting views about it, and it's important that the matter is sent to the Supreme Court for interpretation, so that there will be clarity. And so, to the extent that the Attorney General has not said that, look, go to hell, we are done with you, but is going to court to still find out whether being removed as a CJ, you can come back to serve as a judge of the Supreme Court. I mean, some of the things we look at law, but my own lawyer, who is a friend of mine, Genia, but a friend Gary Nimako, told me that law is also 70% common sense and 30%, practice. So I'm just asking myself that after ascending to that higher position and being removed, are you able to really come and function also as a common, justice of the Supreme Court? Okay, would that be commonsensical and all that? So my point is that it is important that we have finality, on this matter, and I like it that it's been sent to the same Supreme Court. Let us see how they rule, and let us hope
on the report.
Right. Report.
That she has not been given the report.
No, the fact, I agree with you that you see the decision, the processes have been resorted to, and I think that if there are minor procedural issues that can be addressed, it is important that they get addressed. Because, like you said, it is not the case that she's going to be able to overturn anything.
Thank you. Thank you very much, gentlemen.